Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to my channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program, information about the tactics used on targets, technology used on targets, etc. Just info about the targeted individual program in general. So please do check out those links, y'all. If you're new to the channel, don't start here. Like I just mentioned, you will see videos in those two locations, the description box and comment section, where I tell my story. There are several different options you can choose from. All the same content. It's really just that some versions of the story have been condensed. So there are several videos where I've sat and told my story. One is actually, sorry for the stammering, y'all. I'm here at work. Y'all know I don't like to do these videos at work, but I literally attempted to make this video earlier at home, and they started doing a bunch of noise campaign in the neighborhood. So I was like, okay, let me wait till I go to work to do this video. And I'm tired, y'all. I'm PMSing. It's that time of month. Y'all know I get it really bad, those of you that have been subscribed. So it's just a lot going on. You can see it's at the top. You can see it's 2:44 a.m. So obviously I'm tired as well. So that's why I sound like this. I do apologize. But anyways, yeah, so that's why I sound a little distracted though. I'm at work, and although the noise campaigns are nowhere near as bad as during the daytime at home, they still do noise campaigns here at work as well. You know how it is when you're targeted. Everywhere you go, even your house is, booby trapped with noise campaigns. Like, I don't know how it works really. Obviously these are things that are done when you're not around, but as a target, it doesn't matter where you go. Everything is booby trapped, and there's always some sort of noise campaign. So that's just how it is while you're in the program. When you figure out how to get out, then obviously you can get away from those things. But that's why I sounded distracted. So I have an 11-hour video compilation where I actually sat on camera, not for the full 11 hours. As I said, it was a video compilation, so I took my time, and over the course of, I think it was like a week, I sat there and I made different parts telling my full life story. So not just like what started the targeting in 2020, but also just my life story in general. And then there are other versions of the video where I'm not on camera, other versions of my story where I'm not on camera, and I tell like a condensed version of my story. Actually, the most recent version, the one that you're going to see at the very top of all of those different options, is the Restating How I Became a Targeted Individual video that I created about 5 months ago. Excuse me. So choose whichever one you want, y'all. Whatever works for you if you're new. But do check out one of those videos and hear my story before you listen to any of my other videos, or you'll be completely confused as to what I'm talking about. All right, y'all. So this video here is just basically an update or a part 2 to the last video that I made. Not the last video I made. The last two videos, the last video that I made, really, because the last 2 videos I uploaded were poems. Very short poems, y'all, as you can see. One is titled Clocks and one is titled Cerebral. I wrote those actually like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think I referenced them in my last video, actually, the last targeted individual video. But why I decided to upload them was that I was listening back to one of my videos, and I was listening to myself talking about how they deterred me from writing poetry, and they deter me from doing simple everyday things that I've always done purposefully, with the discrediting, with the false narratives, etc. That's just how it is when you're targeted. But when I was listening back to the video, I was like, you know what, let me upload my poems. This is stupidness, because I really like these poems. And so I downloaded my BandLab, and I decided to download these 2 recent poems and upload them. You can see I just put them up a day ago. But anyways, what I was saying was not the last 2 videos I uploaded, but the last video I created, or the last targeted individual video that I updated. It's not loading. The thumbnail's not loading, at least, but it says proof that there is no validation for my targeting. The thumbnail that you see is gray right now. I'm having bad service out here, y'all. But the thumbnail says false imprisonment, and you can see like a gavel sitting on a desk, right? Hold on, y'all. Let me end the clip and come back. Hold on a second. All right, y'all. Sorry that I ended the video. I just wanted to listen back to the clip and make sure that everything was everything, make sure that the sound was working the way that it's supposed to work, because I didn't want to sit here and make this, long video. Well, it's not going to be long. I'm really going to try hard not to make it too long. But sit here and make this video just to realize that the sound quality isn't good. Because remember, I told you all in the last clip, I attempted to make this video earlier in where I live. And there was a lot of noise campaign going on in the neighborhood. But I made about 8 minutes worth of content. And when I listened back, half of it you couldn't hear well, because I had made 2 clips earlier, and the first clip you could not hear well because my earphones were on. I'm sorry, y'all, it started raining. I had my Bluetooth on and my earphones were connected, so it was muffled. So I was like, let me just stop the video and make sure that I can hear myself good. And then also too, I said gavel, and although I know that's the word and that's what I meant to say, it was just one of those moments. I told y'all I feel terrible right now. I'm PMSing. It's late. I'm sleepy. My body's sore. I'm going extra ham in the gym these days. So I just feel like, ugh, right now. And so, sometimes you'll say a word and you said the correct word, but it sounds weird to you. And so you feel like you need to check. And I have OCD. I know y'all know that by now from those of you that have been subscribed. Like, I have OCD when it comes to grammatical errors and saying, saying words incorrectly or whatever. So those were the reasons why I stopped. I just wanted to make sure the sound quality was good, and I looked into gavel to make sure I said the correct thing. But yeah, and as y'all can see, the thumbnail loaded now. So that's what it is. That's the last video that I uploaded, the last targeted individual video that I uploaded 2 days ago. And it was just me talking about something else that I saw, just going about my daily life here on island. I saw something. Listen to that video, y'all, before you listen to this one. It would make no sense, obviously. No disrespect, not trying to sound condescending. But it would make no sense to listen to an update or a part 2 video without listening to part 1. So if you're listening to this, hopefully you've already listened to that video and you heard the things I was talking about. The race sensitization to my targeting, and how they try to push that stimuli at me, and basically hint to me that that's why the targeting is so bad, and all this other stuff. There's so many reasons why. There's always going to be a reason. I realize they just have a problem with me. Like, everything that they're pushing towards me, like, I literally can point out somebody that's still doing whatever it is that they're claiming that I did, or that actually did. What I'm trying to say is there are false narratives. With most targets, that's how it goes. They push false narratives. They villainize you. It's like a huge smear campaign. And so for some of the false narratives that I didn't do, I can point out several people on island who did do those things that aren't going through what I'm going through. So I know it's not about that. And then with things that I actually did do, like saying hurtful things, reactive abuse out of reaction to what was happening to me, there are people who are actively still sharing those things here on island. No disrespect to those people either, because there's no avoiding it. It's kind of like I'm throwing them under the bus, trying to prove my point. I'm not meaning to. I'm just trying to prove that nothing that they're saying for the sorry, y'all, I'm stammering. God, none of the reasons why they're continuing to do this to me are really the reasons why they're doing it. So I don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. That's what I'm trying to say, and why I've been going through this for 4 years and change, and they won't stop. So this is where, that's what that video was about. And so ever since making that video 2 days ago, they started to aggressively hardcore push the false narrative that was created from the text message. Listen to Noise Campaign now. You have gang stalkers up at all hours of the night creeping and watching you. It's so creepy. Like, half of them aren't even getting paid. You know, there are ones that they hire that are on foot that, like, I know they're paying. I couldn't be much, but they're paying them something. But you have gang stalkers on the road, like, at these odd hours, like 3:01 a.m. The only reason I'm up right now, I guarantee you, is because I'm working. They're not working or anything, and they're just, like, creeping around in cars, like, staring at me and doing noise campaigns. It's, like, strange. I just can't even get over the weirdness of this program. Anyway, it couldn't be me, I'm telling you. If the roles were reversed and I was just, like, this random person on island, and I knew that somebody was getting targeted, I would be one of those people that was off to the side, not getting involved. I'm telling you, like, I wouldn't be in my car at this hour trying to get involved in this bullshit. Anyway, going off on a tangent. You know, I'm already PMSing too, y'all. Let me get to the point because I don't want this video to be long. So this is just an update of some of the things that have now taken place since me making that video 2 days ago. And I even want to advocate for myself because I had this reaction in the gym earlier, due to some of the stuff that they were doing, you know, or some of the things that they were, I don't want to say subliminally doing, but, you know, it's these covert, you know, tactics that they use, and you can't, like, prove it. It's not like you can, it's obvious what's going on, and they know that you know what's happening, but it's these covert harassment tactics and sensitization and pushing of false narratives and using stimuli to do so. But you can't really prove it, you know? You can, but you can't. It's this weird thing. Y'all know how it is when you're targeted. So that's what this is. This is just a part 2 to my part 1 proof that there is no validation for my targeting video. Just advocating for myself for the reaction I had earlier in the gym, and just updating y'all again and letting y'all see that they're just looking for any reason to do this to me. Because now, since I've made that video 2 days ago and proved that, you know, this race thing that y'all are acting like it's the race thing about, you know, like how they're trying to push the race sensitization and push the narrative that I'm this prejudiced person, and that's why it's gotten so bad, and that's why the harassment is amped up, and, you know, continually pushing that. Even though I've apologized, I've proven that I wasn't doing prejudiced things prior to my targeting, they still want to push that narrative when I, you know, like I said in that last video, I showed y'all that there are people down here on island actively believing whatever false narrative it was I was pushing in my vehicle, and they didn't have an issue with those people. So it's not really about that. It's not about anything that they're trying to say that it's about. Even with the false narrative that was created from the text, they know full well I didn't do that. But there are people down here who have, and I'm not throwing them under the bus, I'm just trying to prove my point, and they're not doing this to them. Their private parts are being watched while they're using the bathroom. They're not being watched buck naked in the shower, and they actually did that. You know, so this is where the rage comes from. Anyway, they even used, let me not start to backtrack and, you know, repeat things that I already said in that part 1 video. So let me tell y'all what's been going on. So since making that video, they've been aggressively pushing the narrative that was created from me sending the text message, the false narrative, the dumb, stupid, nonsensical, disgusting narrative that was created from me sending the text. I've already knocked this down in several videos why it makes no sense. First of all, it's obvious that that was a trauma response, the text message I sent. If I had just had the same incident happen to me in several Airbnbs before coming to Island, the same thing that I was not accusing but asking the people in my close circle if they were doing to me, where I was hearing noise campaigns outside of my door, there were no children involved in the narrative that took place when I was in Florida, when I was staying in the 3 different Airbnbs where the same thing occurred. For half a year, I was dealing with that. And it got so bad, it was to the point where I was living in my vehicle. And I was only going to the Airbnb to shower. Again, this is going to sound like craziness if you haven't heard my story. So you have to listen to my story in order to understand what I'm talking about. Or this will sound like jargon. Anyway, so they know for a whole half a year that the same thing happened to me and actually really did happen. It wasn't a false, you know, like, it wasn't me assuming, or not even assuming, I asked. It wasn't me asking if that's what were taking place. This was actually happening to me. Noise campaigns outside of my door in 3 different Airbnbs in Florida prior to me coming home after graduating from school. Like I said, for half a year, I dealt with that. So obviously it was a trauma response when I get back home. You know, I had, like I said, gotten in a fight with the people in my close circle. So I was home for a good month or 2 before I was hearing anything outside of my door. And then I got in the fight with the people in my close circle. And then I started feeling like I was hearing those. I kid you not, I'm not making this up. I really started to feel like I was hearing them lingering outside of my door after this fight took place. And so that was why I sent the text message. And I think I really was hearing them outside my door. But I think it was the same noises I was hearing before. And it was just the trauma of what had happened to me in Florida. And then now this fight happened. And so I was taking every little sound that I was hearing and thinking that it was the same thing that was taking place in Florida. So anyways, I never imagined that they would take the text and lamb blast it and make it go to this high level that it went to. Nor did I ever imagine or fathom that the nasty narrative that was created from the text would be created. Because at the time that I sent the text message, I was staying in the room with my 2 nieces. They were down there for the summer. I traveled down with them. I stayed in the room with my nieces before, many times before. I babysat them many times before. I practically raised my oldest niece, the main one that they like to sensitize me to with the nasty narrative. It's so bad, it's to the point where I don't really even have a relationship with her or any of my nieces or nephews at this point because I feel so uncomfortable and traumatized from what's taken place over the last 4 years. In particularly the last 2 years when I tried to relocate and the targeting amped up and all those strange things happened to me. So anyways, it's just crazy the narrative that they created. It's obvious that if, Yah forbid, I don't even want to say this out my mouth, it's so disgusting, the false narrative that was created out of spite. But it's obvious that if I were, Yah forbid, and they're doing anything to those girls, I'm not going to text you and rat on myself, first of all. I'm not stupid. But then second of all, I'm hearing weird noises in the bush, y'all. I don't know if it's a drone or a gang stalker or what's going on. But second of all, it's obvious that the noises that I thought I was hearing was me thinking that you were doing it spitefully to me because of the fight, similar to what was happening to me in the Airbnbs. It couldn't be any other narrative. It wouldn't make sense for me to think that you thought I was in there doing stuff to the girls and that you were making noises outside rather than busting the door open. That just doesn't make sense. Anyways, y'all, I'll continue the video. My supervisor said I'll continue. Anyways, y'all, sorry about that. My supervisor came to sign me in. It sucks too because all night my phone was at a high charge. And now that I'm making this video, I'm seeing them on like 9%. I know y'all just saw the battery sign, the low power sign that just flashed on the screen. But that's good. That will motivate me to get through this video quickly because there's quite a bit I want to talk about. Not quite a bit, but like a mouthful. And I'm really bad at making short videos. I always go off on tangents due to my ADD, and the videos always end up longer than they need to be. So hopefully that will keep me focused and help me to really try to make this video shorter. Anyway, so like I was saying at the end of the last clip, though, it just would not make sense, the narrative that they're trying to roll with, because if it were me thinking that you were hearing me doing something, what idiot would hear somebody doing something to a child in a room or suspect that they're doing something and not bust the door open? Why would you stay outside making noises instead of just busting the door open? So it's obvious, this is it's like they're insulting my intelligence at this point. It's obvious that it wouldn't have been the latter. It would have been what I said first, that I thought they were doing it spitefully, kind of to torment me, because they knew what I had been going through for half a year shortly before coming home that summer in the Airbnbs in Florida. And so the fight happened, and then I felt like I was hearing them doing the same things to me. I didn't accuse them. That's another important key takeaway. Yes, to use that word key, I'm purposely using it. But that's another important thing, because then they also like to push that it's about bearing false witness. That doesn't add up either. It's like you're just looking for a reason to do this to me, because in the text, I never accused them. It's not like I said, how dare you guys do this to me? How dare you guys make noises outside and harass me and do what was happening to me in the Airbnbs or anything of that nature. I asked them a question. I said, hey, I'm hearing noises. I don't remember verbatim what I said, y'all. This was 4 years ago at this point now, 4 years and change ago. But the gist of the text was me basically asking them if they were making noises out there and gaslighting me, basically, because of the fight that took place. It was a question. I didn't accuse them. I never accused them. I asked them. And then the text got lambasted. Weird things started taking place on island. It didn't blow over like I thought it would. Eventually, I got an apartment. I'm not meaning to sit here and tell my story again. If you've listened to my story, you know this already. Eventually, I got an apartment here on island. I had a car and everything. I was teaching and I was doing security. And I realized there was cameras. There were cameras in my apartment. That's how far they took it. Like, how could it ever be that serious that you put cameras in my apartment, like, and letting people see me butt naked and stuff? And I'm like going in the shower and doing noise campaigns. I'm trying to cook dinner and my neighbors are outside of my door doing noise campaigns. Like, it was like weird, crazy stuff that started before I left island. It then escalated to the point where people were stalking me in vehicles, like the True Targeted Individual program, stalking me in vehicles all around island. And then eventually it culminated in me getting into 3 back-to-back car accidents because I started driving recklessly to evade gang stalkers. Stupid me. I had never been in a car accident, hadn't even gotten a speeding ticket prior to my targeting. I got in my first car accident at age 29 or 30. It was 29 or 30. So damn near 15 years of driving, not even a freaking speeding ticket. And then I get targeted, and in the span of 2 years, I'm in 3 back-to-back car accidents. And you're going to try and paint a false narrative that I'm a reckless driver or whatever crazy shit they tried to paint, rather than it being due to the targeting. I'm telling you, it's just like the gaslighting is phenomenal. And also them trying to validate why they're doing what they're doing to me. There's no validation. They're just looking for reasons. You don't like me. Let's keep it real. I rubbed you the wrong way. You think I'm an uppity bitch or whatever you think, and you're enjoying torturing me. There's no validation for what's being done. Period. So anyways, 2 days ago, after I made that video, they started to really push the false narrative that was created from the text message, when I know they know that it's bullshit. But they started pushing it hardcore. And so I just noticed, like, you know, a couple places I went, I noticed I still people like bending over and, you know, like trying to now make it seem like that's the reason for the targeting, because I knocked down the race thing, you know, and I proved that they were actually stopping and dapsing up. You know, one of the groups, the Hebrew Israelite groups that I was sharing their content in Florida, you know, reactive abuse. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not a liar. I grew up in a household where I was taught to be Hebrew. So that was my background, and that was what I truly believed when I was in Florida. I truly believed in the Hebrew understanding your belief system. But all of the other stuff, the offensive stuff that I shared in my car, those were things I didn't subscribe to, and I was never sharing that prior to my targeting. Anyway, I shared it out of spite. It was reactive abuse. I talked about this, like I said, in my part 1 video. Another one, to fly by. Even if I did believe in those things, the offensive things, that doesn't make sense for you to do this to me. Even if we wanted to go with the narrative that those were the things I believed, I just told you I grew up in a household where everything that I believed I was taught to me in my household. You have people here on island who are actually actively sharing and believing those things, and you're stopping in cars and dapsing them up and picking up pamphlets. So there's no validation for what you're doing. So anyways, I've, like I said, already proven that I wasn't sharing offensive things prior to my targeting. So they can try to gaslight all they want. I even showed them a post on my Facebook that I created when I had my apartment in 2021 before I left island. There was no motive for me to do it. I wasn't being sensitized to race. Nobody was looking at me as somebody that was prejudiced because I hadn't shared anything offensive. And I just randomly, because I wanted to, made a Thanksgiving meal in my apartment. I like cooking, and I saw all of these different posts on Facebook with people cooking Thanksgiving meals. And so I've done this throughout the years. We all have in my family. I made a Thanksgiving meal, but it wasn't like I celebrate Thanksgiving, because in my household, the way we were raised, we were taught not to celebrate Thanksgiving and this and that, but we still did. It's just this weird thing where we're taught not to celebrate it, but we still cooked on the holidays. We still got together. So I made a post, I showed it, right? It's still here on my channel. I don't need to scroll to that video. Y'all can scroll down. It's the thumbnail that has the oxtails, and it's like an 11-minute video. I forgot what it's titled. Y'all can scroll through and find it if you want. I'm not about to scroll down to it. I've referenced that video several times now. But I was showing my Facebook posts prior to me leaving island and prior to me ever sharing those offensive stuff, where I showed a whole spread of Thanksgiving meals. And I said some stupid corny post, man. I don't remember what the hell the post said. Something about, although I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I wanted to be in things, and something. I threw together whatever I said, man. Basically just saying that even though I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I wanted to eat yummy food too. And I hope everybody's enjoying their holiday, no matter what your belief is. That's the type of personality I have. That's how I was. I'm not somebody that's pushing my beliefs on, or crazy beliefs on people. And I'm not somebody that's out there sharing offensive content. It's reactive abuse. I dealt with some traumatizing, I'm hearing annoying, somebody that has a problem. I'm pretty sure it's the garbage truck people. They have a problem with me. They have some sort of personal vendetta against me. So anyways, let me continue. So I forgot what I was saying. They're trying to distract me with the stupid noises. I forgot what I was saying though. I was talking about the post that I put up. So yeah, whatever, y'all. They successfully distracted me from what I was saying. So irritating. But anyway, so y'all get the point, man. I wasn't sharing offensive stuff prior to leaving Island. I even talked about my student that I had that was white. Due to confidentiality, I can't say too much. I don't want to say too much due to confidentiality, but I did have a white student prior to me leaving Island, and he was very smart, right? But he wasn't doing his schoolwork. I think he just really advanced. That's what it was. And I think, like the whole lesson, I think the whole curriculum was just boring to him. He was really like a genius. He was really smart. And actually, too, kind of reminded me of myself. Not the genius part. I'm not saying I'm a genius. Nothing like that. But I'm just saying, like, where if something's boring to you, it's not that you're not understanding it. It's just that it's boring to you. So you're not paying attention or whatever the case is. And so that's how it was with a lot of his classes. I had a coworker who was telling me that she had the same issue with him, where basically he speaks really well and he can kind of talk your head off and, talk his way out of not doing his work because he's so smart. It's like you want to just pass him because he gets the content, he more than gets it. But at the same time, it's just like, it's boring to him. It's like the curriculum is just boring to him. And that's kind of how it was for me in school. It's like stuff that it's not that I can't get, it's just that it's boring. So anyways, I remembered giving him a chance because I saw that he had a lot of potential. I saw he was just literally bored with school. And so up until the last day when grades were due, which is an inconvenience to me, by the way, if you were ever a teacher, you would understand how hard it is to get grades in for a lot of students. Each class you have about 15 to 17 students, and I had 3 classes, and I had to get grades in for all of those students. So anytime you have a student that's submitting late work and you're giving them an extension up until the date, they're purposely trying to shut me up because they know what I'm saying makes sense. They get me so sick. They're purposely doing noise campaigns because they know what I'm saying makes sense. They just want to do what they're doing. I'm telling you. Anyway, so up until literally the day that grades were due, I gave him a chance to get his work in. And he did get all of his work in, and I passed him with, I think, an A or a B is what I gave him. But he got all of his work in. So that's to tell you that I don't have an issue with race, because I was in a position of power and nobody, if I am prejudiced, would have known that I was prejudiced. So I could have easily just failed him, but I gave him a chance instead. Actually, my coworker was telling me that she gave him a C because she didn't want to give it to him too easy and make him feel like he could just do this, like float through classes and not do his work and then feed you whatever. But for me, because of my own experience with having an IEP and being somebody that gets bored with school easily as well. And it's not that I can't complete the content or it's not that I can't do the work. It's just that it's boring to me. I empathized with him. And so for me, it's like it didn't make sense for me to hold somebody back who I know is more than capable of doing the work. Instead, I just talked to him and told him, try to do better. You're so smart and you have so much potential. Try to do better. Whatever the case was, I gave him a chance and let him get all his work in. He passed my class. I don't remember what I gave him. It was either an A or a B. I think a B. I think I gave him a B. I didn't want to give him an A when he had turned in all of this late work. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's like if I were this prejudiced person, that was a moment where I had validation to fail a white student, first of all. But then second of all, too, if I were prejudiced, I would have been so hard on him. I could have failed him, and I didn't. So I'm not this prejudiced person that they're trying to paint me as, or this villain. Like I said, it was reactive abuse. They're this is what they do. They try to shut me up when I'm making sense because they want to torture me. They're getting a sick kick out of torturing an innocent person that they don't like. And so anytime I can validate the things I'm saying or I make sense, they start doing these stupid petty noises to distract me and shut me up. Anyways, let me continue with what I'm saying though. This is what I be talking about though. This is exactly what I am talking about. Anyway, so that's the point though, y'all. I'm going off on a tangent. I just want y'all to understand that prior to what happened in my car in Florida, I don't have a history of sharing offensive stuff. Just like prior to my targeting starting, I don't have a history of getting in car accidents. These are all reactive abuse scenarios and cause and effect. So it's gaslighting. them now trying to punish me for all of these reactions that happened due to the targeting. Anyway, so they start pushing the child narrative like crazy, y'all, these last 2 days, to get back on topic, to get back to the point. Because I was able to disprove the race thing, and prove that that's not really why you're doing this to me. They started to hardcore these last 2 days push the child thing like crazy. And it's like I said, just notice I'm going to places and seeing the little short black pants, or I'm seeing people bending over, just the nauseating thing that they tried to run with, again, reactive abuse. Let me scroll to this video. This I am going to scroll to. This video here, y'all, that says sharing stimuli used to sensitize me. You can see I made it eight months ago. I guarantee y'all this is the only time you will ever hear me cry. And what was going on is similar to now. It was the wee hours of the morning. You see it's like 3:44 a.m. I made that video at work as well. So I was exhausted, tired of dealing with the dumb bullshit with some of these people. And just, them pushing specifically this stimuli, right? To try to perpetuate, just like the other stuff that they know is bullshit. Again, just trying to validate what they're doing because they don't like me and they enjoy torturing me. Trying to use this trying to use this, they started doing noise campaign. I know y'all heard that loud thing that started. It's like this AC system that they turn off and on. In addition to a few other things, like this is what I meant when I said booby trap. Like they booby trap the area with noise campaigns, and you have gang stalkers hiding in dark little crevices watching you, and it's just wild, y'all. Anyway, I don't want to really talk too specifically about the location and the gang stalking because, again, I don't want to do these videos about work, and that's not what this is about. I'm just trying to explain to you why I'm getting distracted. Y'all already know that I have ADD. It doesn't take much to distract me. But I try not to talk about work at all. I do not want to have issues with my job, and I'm getting extra hours now, too. This video is not about work. I'm just, letting y'all know there are noise campaigns taking place. So if I get distracted, that's what's going on. Anyway, so hold on, y'all. Let this vehicle pass by. Anyway, so when I was in Florida, y'all, remember I told y'all when I tried to relocate, things got really bad and targeting went viral. At this point, when I had gotten down to Florida, because I tried to relocate to Indiana, as y'all know, traveled all the way up to Indiana, the targeting went viral, ended up back down to Florida, en route back to the island that I tried to relocate off of. So while I'm in Florida, things got so bad that I was actually living in my car for a while. For a good month and change, I was in my car dealing with extreme harassment, extreme gang stalking. I wouldn't even call it covert. That was straight overt harassment that was taking place. And they were also at that point using the technology on me. I told you guys this already in prior videos. They were using the shadow networking software to sensitize me. So every video I put on had the theme of predator, or had the theme of drunkenness, or had the theme of things in the dark coming to light, or had the theme of angels watching. So these are things that were being sent to me constantly in every video that I clicked on. It didn't matter if it was a video on Facebook. It didn't matter if it was a video on Instagram. It didn't matter if it was YouTube. Hold on, y'all. Let this pass. I'm pretty sure this is the garbage truck. Give me a minute. Anyways, y'all. They just have a vendetta against me. There's something that I said, apparently, that was offensive to them, and I really don't know what it was. One of these things that I said, and maybe it's something about, I don't know. I don't even really want to pinpoint it, because there was a night I was working security at my old location where I used to do security, and I remembered them saying I remember them doing noise campaign to something I had said. So I believe it's something I said that made them have like this, what seems like a personal vendetta against me. You know how easy it is to make enemies when you're targeted. It's just so easy for them to sit behind their phone screen and judge you, and stare at you. Anyway, so let me finish saying what I was saying, though. Oh my goodness, trying to talk about distracting me on purpose too, because they know this video is good. And to tell you this video is good, The people that's controlling the technology that use the shadow networking software to hack all of your technological devices, they took this video down 3 different times. I had to re-upload this video because this video disproved that the main thing that they were trying to run with to validate that nasty narrative that was created from the text message. When the reaction that I had to this stimuli that you see in the thumbnail was straight up trauma and PTSD. Please check that video out, y'all. But there was something that took place with my niece when I was living in my car in Florida. Like I said, they were constantly sending the theme of predator, like I was saying before the garbage truck drove by, and drunkenness and what happens in the dark comes to light, and just all of those type of themes that would pertain to that false narrative that was created. And it didn't matter what I clicked on. Facebook, I could have clicked on like a reel on Facebook. I could have watched a short on YouTube or a regular video on YouTube in my recommended. I could have put a movie on Hulu. I could have put a movie on Netflix. It did not matter what I put on. Or the radio, for instance, because the radio stations get involved as well, as I told you all, right? So if you feel like you're seeing a certain theme, whatever it is they're trying to sensitize you to in your specific targeting, if you're noticing that you're seeing this constant theme in everything that you put on as it pertains to technology, right? So like anything that you click on your phone, let's say you're even playing a pool game, right? You know how they have the little pool game? You can download the app and play pool. They'll play against you with avatars that contains the stimuli they're trying to sensitize you to. So that's what's going on. Like literally that's what was happening. They were using their shadow networking software to send me stimuli to sensitize me. I put on the radio. Every freaking station I'm putting it to, they're talking about predators and telling stories, these news stories about predators. This is how I heard the story about this old man apparently in Florida that attempted to buy a child and was thrown in jail for doing so, was released out of jail, not targeted. They didn't have mosquitoes following him. They weren't watching his fucking balls when he was taking a shower. So he was living comfortably and at leisure, right? And apparently he tried to buy a child again for the second time. And this was when they realized they needed to monitor him. So you have innocent people that they're monitoring because they don't like them and they're pushing false ass narratives. When you have actual freaks out there that actually do what they're false, let me be careful, because now I'm coming off as judgmental. It just pisses me off to no end. But I'm coming off as judgmental now because there are people that have done that have turned their life around and they've repented. And, I'm not God. I'm not trying to judge anybody. But at the same time, it's just like I'm getting the pedo special, right? I feel like I'm getting the pedophile special with the things that they're doing when you actually have real pedophiles that they're not doing it to. So, of course, I'm fucking pissed. And they're doing it spitefully. Anyway, so they're just sending me all those type of stories, y'all, on the radio and, and the stuff that I was watching. And I'm just having these, like, anxious-ass reactions because all of these fucking people are staring at me. And they're all in vehicles all around me. And my targeting was so viral that literally everybody in the vicinity of wherever I was at had access to these cameras that were on me. So they were all watching me and they were all revving by and doing noise campaigns. And so you have to understand it was trauma and PTSD responses that I was having due to what was taking place. All of these people around staring at me. I'm already somebody that has a history of generalized anxiety, as I've talked about in my story videos, y'all. I told y'all about how it was in my early 20s when I lived with my sister. It was so bad that at one point she had to keep taking me to the hospital. It was like a once a week occurrence because I was having so many anxiety attacks. It was to the point where it was taking like a physical toll, and it thought something neurological was going on because I would get so anxious and losing oxygen and breathing in too much carbon dioxide that my hands would start to cramp in and I could not unbend my hands. And so they thought it was something neurological. Come to find out it was just like an extreme case of generalized anxiety. They wanted to medicate me. I don't believe in medication, so I found other ways to deal with it. But anyway, so you're dealing with somebody that has a history of anxiety as it is. Somebody that were outspoken, and somebody that was outspoken, and somebody that is extroverted could have gone through the same thing as me and had the same PTSD trauma responses because it was just that traumatizing. But you're dealing with an introverted hermit, you could basically say. I wouldn't say hermit, that's a reach. I had friends and I used to go out. I'm a hermit now. But you're dealing with an introverted, reserved person who has a history of generalized anxiety. You're staring at them. You're putting these cameras on them. You have all of these freaking people around. I'm from a small town. I'm from the islands. I'm in this big, huge state. All of the people in the vicinity had access to these cameras that were on me. And then they're sending me with the shadow networking and every fucking thing that I click on, the theme of predator or the theme of angels watching or the theme of things in darkness coming to light. And you don't expect me to have a PTSD trauma response? They did expect that. They knew I would have that response. They had it in for me from since Indiana because of what happened on the Greyhound bus. And then the interaction I had with the police officer. And then the conversations that was taking place in my car with the people in my close circle warning me about Indiana being a sundown state. They had it in for me from there. They thought it was some stuck-up, bougie, I think, bitch that came from a prejudiced family. That's what I think they thought. And they were aware of the text message because obviously that's why the thing followed me in the first place. And they decided to push that narrative with their technology. And I didn't know the technology existed at the time. So I'm just having this anxious response. And I'm sure the people around didn't know about the technology either. They knew they were watching me. I'm pretty sure they didn't know that these people could send the same theme to sensitize you through everything that you watched. So to the people around, it would look like it's some sort of spiritual intervention. And she really did this. And for me, I'm just thinking this is witchcraft. That's why I thought it was witchcraft, because I knew I didn't do it. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And so that was what it was. It was a trauma response. Then I ended up going over to my sister's house because she lives in Florida. And the child who's involved in the whole debacle, my niece, lives there. I was trying to avoid going there. It was to the point where I was going days without bathing because I did not want to have to go over there and interact with the trauma that I was experiencing and knowing all these people were watching. So anyway, eventually one of these days I went over there. I don't mean to tell the story again. Y'all actually need to check out that video because I broke it down so well in that video. But I'm kind of just giving you a watered down version of what I said in that video, where I knocked down that stupid narrative or that stupid interaction, that stupid moment that they took and ran with and used it to propel the false narrative that was created from the text message. So anyways, when I got there, my nieces, I sat on the couch, and as soon as I sat down, they revved by in the neighborhood. 2 vehicles, I think it was like one was a motorcycle, it sounded like a motorcycle or a buggy, whatever they were using. And then the other one sounded like a large car or a truck that had a rev engine. 2 of them revved by immediately as soon as I sat on the couch. So I'm already having this shaking in my body, shaking, I'm already feeling anxious. My nieces haven't even come out to interact with me yet. So then anyways, they come out, my sister calls my nieces out, and they come out, and I think this was all planned. I keep saying I think they put this together because they saw the anxious reactions I was having in my car. The people that run the thing, I think they were trying to definitely frame me. I definitely think so because they had it in for me, like I said, since Indiana. My sister, however, this is where I feel so betrayed. I think she started to believe the narrative because of the reactions I was having in my car in Florida. Initially, when I was down here and I sent the text message, I think it was a joke thing. I think they were trolling me all on island. It's just the things they were doing. I could tell it was more of a joke than anything else. Even allowing me to go and teach amongst young students, I could tell they didn't think I actually did that, but they were trolling me, right? When I left, and then all of these things took place and my targeting went viral, and I got to Florida and I started having the reactions I was having, PTSD and trauma, to what was taking place around me, I think that was when they started to successfully frame me and people started to believe that false narrative, including, I think, my sister. And this is why I feel so betrayed by her because she and I used to be so close. It will never be the same, especially after some of the things that happened to me during the targeting up there. Anyways, I'm not going to go into it, right? But I think she started to believe it because she was moving strange too when I got there. She was just, I know her, and her energy was very off, right? So she sat by me and she and I were talking and she calls my nieces on. This is why I say I think they planned this. My nieces came out and the oldest niece, the main one that they try to sensitize me to, she's wearing this short little, what we call in the islands, a pom-pom shorts. That's what we call it in the islands because it's so short that, you know, your private parts could basically be hanging out of it. She's wearing that and I'm like, what the hell? You know, because at this point now she's getting older. I don't remember how old she was. When was this? This was 2 years ago. She was like 11 at the time, around that age. She's wearing this little short pants, and typically I would just be like, hey, you have on a short pants? What's going on? This is what I would have normally told my sister, like it would have been a joke thing. But at this point now I've been sensitized and traumatized to the child thing, specifically my niece, because that's who it was about. And they kept sending the narrative of predator and pedophiles and, creepy, nasty, weird fucking stuff, while these people are revving by it and having, I'm having these trauma type of responses. And so I come here, I sit down on the couch, and then two people rev by instantly as soon as I sit down. My sister's acting strange. And then she calls my niece out, and both of my nieces come out. They're acting normal. They don't even know what the hell is going on. You can tell. They're Reefy, hey. I said, hey, wave at them still, but it wasn't the normal reaction where I go and pinch your cheeks and hug them. It wasn't anything like that. I'm feeling weird and traumatized. I didn't even want to be there. I was actually more scared of them than anything else. I was scared of my nieces because I was so traumatized, right? And so she's wearing the little short pants, and normally I would have told my sister, what the hell is that? Because we both kind of raised my niece, and we would never have her wearing a little short pants like that. But she comes out with the little short pants on, and then she goes into the toy thing. They both go into the toy thing, and she reaches in and bends over, right? Similar to what you're seeing this guy doing in the thumbnail of this video that says sharing stimuli, right? She reaches in for a toy, and I know these people are staring at me. For months on end, they've been doing Rev campaign. They've been sending me this nasty narrative about being a freaking predator, right? And have all these people revving by while they're staring at me, and I kept having these breathe funny, anxious responses. So I'm already feeling awkward about her coming out in the little short pants. I wanted to hide is what I wanted to do. I felt so uncomfortable. I wanted to run straight up out of that freaking place is what I wanted to do. And then she bends in to get the toy, and all her buttons is like hanging out of the freaking short pants. And typically, again, that wouldn't be an issue. I've seen my niece naked. I bathed her. I basically raised her. But because of what was happening, I felt so traumatized, and I knew these people were staring at me. And for months, they had been revving by while whoever's running the technology was sending the nasty-ass narrative and constantly sending the same sensitization through everything that I was watching, and I didn't know that that's what they were doing. I hadn't refuted the narrative because I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I didn't know how I could fight this when I couldn't even prove that they were using this technology. I didn't even know they were doing it. I did not know that they had this high-level technology where they can send you subliminal messaging through everything that you're watching. So for me, I'm just like, damn, these people probably really think I did this thing. Everything I'm clicking on has the narrative of predator. And that's why I was so convinced it was witchcraft. And so I'm like, I don't have a leg to stand on. I can't prove it. It just looks like I did it. Everything I click on is talking about this. They're revving by. I'm having these anxious responses. So at the time, I felt like I had no leg to stand on, and I felt like they really thought that I had done this. I could even feel my sister's energy. She was acting strange. And so I hid my face. When my niece went to bend in to get the toy, I was so traumatized, I hid my face. I would never react like that. I hid my face, and they took that moment. You know how they have these live recordings? Some of them they save and they use it, and they put it away in their little vault, and they use it to propel your targeting. So they took that little moment and they ran with it. And that became one of the main things that they used in my targeting to sensitize me and to push that false narrative from the text message. And so I created this video and I talked about it, and they didn't like that. They took the video down 3 different times. I had to upload it. They even messed with my video recorder app and deleted the first version of it that I made. And I cried in the second one because I was tired and frustrated that I had to make the video again. And I was tired of dealing with that nasty shit. Dealing with, grown people. I'm going to different places and grown people bending over and I'm, moaning me. I have to see them bending their nasty ass over. Excuse me. Like, it just feels like I want to cuss them out when they do it. It gets me so upset. They haven't done it in a while, but like recently in the last 2 days, I saw a few people kind of doing it. They don't do it as bad as they're doing it last year. Last year, they were so vulgar with it. There was this old lady that did it. She was in her yard, and my mom and I were driving by, and she bent over so much over that all her underwear and her wrinkly legs were showing, and I was just like, oh my God, like, I was so traumatized, like, I can't unsee that. I'm like, really? This is how far they were taking the thing. So anyways, y'all, let me go back up. Let me scroll back up. So that's what I noticed the last 2 days since I made that. They're trying to push the child thing. Again, looking for validation for what they're doing to me. There's no validation for it. You can't validate. It doesn't make sense. So anyway, they've been pushing it, and I was just kind of ignoring it. Like, I've just seen a little, stuff where I've seen people in the little short black pants or a few people bending over different places I went, but I wasn't seeing too much of anything else. So I didn't feel like I needed to make a video. Then last night at work happened. Last night at work, they went ham with pushing the narrative. But not just that, they were just doing extra stuff too. Like, and kind of, it feels like being hypocritical because they want to push the narrative of hater at me when everything they're doing is what hating is. Like, and now I can get jumped on for this. They like to mob on and gang up on me, even if what I'm saying makes sense. I've already talked about this in prior videos, that the things they do it's kind of a tactic. It's not kind of, it is a tactic where they impede everything that you're doing, right? So they try to stop everything that you're doing, and they gaslight you, they gang up on you, and they try to discredit you. It's not just me. They have the different things that they use in my targeting to try to discredit me, but discrediting targets is something to do. Let me play something for you real quick. This video that says irrefutable proof that gang stalking is real, and you see the thumbnail says FBI COINTELPRO, because that's the actual name of the program. It's COINTELPRO. And really what they used to use, who they used to use it on back in the day, was like political activists, or like, for instance, I hate to use this example because there's race sensitization in my specific targeting, but like on the Black Panthers, for instance, or Martin Luther King. At least Martin Luther King was pro-unity. The Black Panthers were more so, I guess, pro-segregation. I don't know if they were pro-segregation, but I know that for sure they were pushing. Hold on, y'all. Let the noise campaign go by. The Black Panthers, I'm not really familiar with them like that. It's not like they were ever anybody that I followed. But I mean, I think everyone knows about the Black Panthers. I think they were like pro-black rights, and similar to like the BLM movement. I think they were like, something like that, where they were more so pro-black whites. And I don't know, I didn't mean to say black whites. Black rights. And I don't know if there was a sense of anti any other race. I don't know. Like I said, I don't subscribe to them. But I do know that they were pro-black whites. Black rights, and I think they used to like buck up against the government and stuff. And so from what I understand, to cause dissension within that camp, they used to use COINTELPRO on them. And on a lot of the political activists, they were using COINTELPRO. They even used it on Martin Luther King Jr. though, because I hear them amping up with the little AC thing they like to use here to do noise campaign. Martin Luther King was pro integration, and Martin Luther King was pro unity, and they used it on him as well. So I don't know what it was with him. If you listen to history, Martin Luther King had a lot of back and forth with the government. He was bumping heads with them, and back then was when they were trying to push segregation, I think, and so he was kind of one of the first people that was trying to unify everyone. Similar to Bob Marley. I've heard people say they use COINTELPRO and Bob Marley as well. I heard stuff. I don't want to go into conspiracy theories now. But anyways, with Martin Luther King though, they sent me a video at the beginning of the year. I showed it to y'all recently in one of these recent videos I posted, where they were talking about what they were doing to him and the fact that they were openly framing him. But also not just that, discrediting him. They used the word discredit in the video. So that's a tactic they use. And here in this FBI COINTELPRO video, I shared a clip from another Targeted Tony is his name. Follow him, y'all. But he was just in this video, this FBI COINTELPRO video. I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just going to play the part where he's talking about they can't discredit him anymore. In this video, he was providing evidence, irrefutable proof that gang stalking is real, and he was showing you some category 1 targets. So those are the targets that became targets because they were whistleblowers. And those are people from classified government programs. So people that used to work for, like, let's say the FBI or NSA or NASA or the CIA. Those type of, high intelligence. Hold on, y'all. Let the noise go by. Hold on. It's like the 5th time the garbage truck has passed on this road. Anyway, that used to work for one of those high, it's funny, that's another false narrative they tried to create. I kid you not, like sometimes the narratives they have created, it's so freaking idiotic. I can't even, anyway, I think it would be obvious if I had been a part of the CIA or the FBI or NASA or one of those organizations. I think it would have been obvious. Anyway, so people that were a part of one of those type of government organizations, he included in this video. People that don't have a history of mental health issues, you know, people that are would be considered reputable sources. He included them in this video, right, and showed different things that they said, like literal quotes from them, validating this program and talking about their experience being targeted. They even had a NASA scientist that they like apparently stole her work, and so she started to fight them for her work, and they targeted her. So anyways, he was just saying in the beginning of the video, though, you all can't discredit me anymore. So I just want to play that part for you. I'm not going to play the whole video. Describe them. Hello, welcome back to Talk with Sharifa. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Summary, long video, guys. This is a compiled video of this program. Just checked out my prior videos. I'm sure it's an actual government program. There's a plethora. Who is the... Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the point where I was category. That's why I went to show you that video with the DARPA scientist. Oh, it looks like I fast-forwarded past the beginning part. I'm trying to... Sorry, y'all, talking is happening, so I know you probably couldn't hear me good just now. I don't know which part of the video he said y'all can't discredit me anymore was. I don't know if it was the beginning part of the video. Hold on. As a matter of fact, let me see now, y'all. Let me end the clip and find out real quick. I'll be back. All right, y'all. As y'all can see, it's 10:28, so it's actually like completely the next day. It was already the next day because the other clips that I made, the prior clips were made in the wee hours of the morning after 12 a.m. while I was at work, so technically it was the next day anyways. Then now it's like daytime and I'm off. I'm not even at work anymore. I came home, rested, and now I'm attempting to finish the video, and I'm gonna try to finish sorry y'all, I'm hearing noise campaign in the back. I'm gonna try to finish quickly. Not quickly as in rush through things. I want to make sure I talk about everything I want to talk about. But I don't want this video to be too long, like I told you all. And at this point, the prior clips equate to about an hour of content. So I'm gonna try to now hurry up and, you know, show you all everything. So what it is that video I was showing you, the COINTELPRO video, where I basically took a screen recording of a video from targeted Tony's channel, where, like I told you all, he was showing some category 1 targets, whistleblowers. I realized I cut out the beginning part where he was talking about being discredited by this specific gang stalker that it seems like harasses him through YouTube and social media. So I'm going to go over to his channel, and I don't even need to go to his channel. I already have the video in my history. I'm going to go over there and show you the first 30 seconds of the video so you can hear him talking about this troll that's trying to discredit him. And then I can even go a step further and find that video. I shared the video with you all recently in one of these recent videos I posted that they sent me at the beginning of the year in my recommended on YouTube with the shadow networking software. The video I was talking about with Martin Luther King, where basically they were talking about the fact that they were using COINTELPRO on him, and they even talked about the fact that they were planning to discredit him. They used the word discredit. I can look that video up and, you know, play that part where they said the discredit thing. I might do that too, but it's just like I'm trying to make, you know, rush through this video. So I don't know if I'm going to share that. I'm just trying to, you know, make it very clear, prove my point that that is a tactic they use on all targets. It doesn't even matter what level target you are. They discredit you as a target. So similar to me, this is what they do to other targets, and they'll use different tactics to accomplish the goal of discrediting you. Anyway, let me show you the video for Targeted Tony, the first 30 seconds. Matter of fact, y'all, I'm not even going to look up the Martin Luther King thing because, like I said, in one of these recent videos, I showed you all a clip of that video. And in a video from last year, I was talking about it, or from the beginning of the year. So, you know, to save time and avoid wasting time, I'm not going to just take my word for it. You can type in, I think if you type in, hold on, guys, give me a second. Let me just, one thing at a time. Let me do the Targeted Tony thing.
Alright, so I'm just making this video to address a...
Oh my god. My earphones are on again. Y'all, thank goodness I decided to do this. I'm realizing that my earphones are on. Wow, I'm so glad I chose to do this because I'm realizing my earphones are on. They're right next to me this time. Unlike yesterday when I attempted to make this video, those two clips I told you all I made, and I realized the sound quality was terrible. The earphones are right next to me this time, so sound quality might be something I can use. If it is, then obviously you'll have heard me say all of this. If not, then you won't even hear this. I'm going to end the clip and listen to see what it sounds like. Wow, I'm so glad that happened. Y'all, so fortunately, like I said, the earphones being right next to me made it so that you could hear me clearly. It wasn't as clear as my prior clips where I was obviously not connected to the earphones, but you could hear me. It wasn't like yesterday when the earphones were on and thrown at the other, side of my bed, and the quality of the audio was terrible. So thank goodness I was able to use that audio that you heard in the last clip. Excuse me, y'all. So I'm going to play the first 30 seconds, but first let's address what he has on the screen. As you guys can see on the screen, they're using harp like crazy right now, y'all. Remember I told y'all they use harp on targets too. I've seen other targets talking about this and how the weather will suddenly change when you're going out to do something. Sometimes they don't use it that much on me. It's not that extreme. But ever so often, they do use harp on me. This morning when I was at work, there was no rain. There was no lightning. They made it rain a little bit. It rained for like 2 seconds. You could hear me saying it in one of the prior clips, and then it just stopped and there was no more rain. But the sky, it's this weird lightning. You can tell when it's them. Like, it doesn't look like regular lightning. This weird lightning happened when I said something. I don't remember what it was that I said. And it happened like 3 different times, 4 different times, and then it stopped. And then I didn't see any more for the rest of the morning. They use it at specific times. As soon as I started making this video, all of a sudden, all this loud banging thunder, and then I just now said something about hurrying up and ending the video. And I heard this big loud blah, blah, blah outside, so... Anyways, it doesn't matter. Let's address what's on the screen though, because at the beginning of his video, he has not a thumbnail, but he has, as you guys can see, a meme up, and it says how to deal with a hater. Don't. They only exist when you give their asses a platform. He's a target. So most targets refer to gang stalkers as haters, and then we get called narcissistic for saying that. But the reason that we feel that way is because of the tactics that they use. The things that they do, such as discrediting the things that you're doing, the things that are good about you, constantly coming for your self-esteem. Look how it started raining when I started talking. This is crazy. Constantly coming for your self-esteem and tearing you down, impeding everything that you're doing. These are things that would seem like hating, right? And so oftentimes targets will feel like they're being hated on, but it's really a tactic that's being used. And then also too, you're smiling. They're getting mad at you for smiling. It's crazy what happens when you're targeted. And it really feels like you're being hated on. It really feels that way. It's like a complete emulation of the things that a hater would do. And so I notice a lot of targets use the term hater, and they call the gang stalkers haters. And that gets the gang stalkers more worked up, as if they don't understand why the target feels that way. And then they'll try to paint it like the target is like this narcissistic, pig-headed person, when they're really just responding to the things you're doing. It's reactive abuse, and the things you're doing does seem like hating. And I was saying that at the beginning of my video, I mentioned that, something that happened at work, not last night, night before last, with hater, where they were trying to throw that stimuli at me. And I started to kind of give words to them, like, this is hypocrisy. Are you kidding me? And that was kind of what led to some of the activities that took place at work, not last night, night before last, that then led up to the next day when I went to the gym and had the reaction that I had. So I'm going to play these first 30 seconds though. We'll get back to the hater thing. I just wanted to point that out, like another target using the term hater, because that's what it feels like when you're targeted with the things that they do, especially mainly they're trying to discredit you and trying to, like that's what would seem like what a hater would do, trying to discredit the good things about you and tear you down. Anyway, let me play the first 30 seconds of this thing though, so you can hear him going in on this gang stalker apparently that's been like harassing him and trying to discredit him.
Alright, so I'm just making this video to address a perpetrator or a troll in the TI community. He's not even worth mentioning his name, but it's the same clown who watches my content obsessively, who constantly tries baiting me to join his VoIP phone calls or live streams to try to destroy me or discredit me or disprove what I'm going through. So this video is to address you once and for all. I've ignored...
That's enough, y'all. I don't really need to play any more of it. That's enough. You can, like I said, check the video out for yourself. I do have it on my channel. It's that same video I was showing you all with the thumbnail that says COINTELPRO FBI. It's just that I had fast forwarded past this first minute, of his video, and I just recorded the rest of the video. As you all can see, his channel is right there, Targeted Tony. You can go ahead and subscribe. But yeah, that's one of the main tactics. Look, it's raining like crazy now, y'all. I'm almost certain that's HARP. I'll continue this video in a bit. There's one thing, though, before I forget, that I wanted to show you all. Something, two things that I talked about in, not the last clip, but the clip prior to the last clip, where I was talking about that incident that happened with my niece and the fact that it seemed staged, her coming out in the short pants and the events that followed. Another reason why I said it felt staged was because after I had that anxious reaction and I hid my face, a bunch of vehicles, of course, revved by in the road because they were sitting there staring at me and judging me. But then when we left, I just had this feeling in my stomach, like my stomach dropped to the pit. I knew that they were going to take that moment. Somehow I just knew, because I had already experienced them taking a moment and using it to propel the targeting. Remember what happened in Indiana? Well, not Indiana, Tennessee, on the bus, on the Greyhound bus with the homeless man. So I just knew. I knew that moment was going to be utilized. I just knew it. And so I remember just as I was leaving, my heart being in the pit of my stomach. And then when I sat in the vehicle, right, because I was in a rental. No, I was in my car, not a rental. Excuse me. I was in my car at the time. I had a car with Carvana. I told you guys I ended up losing that car. But when I sat in the car, out comes, no, as a matter of fact, my mom had traveled up from the Virgin Islands at this time. And that was the only reason I felt comfortable enough to go over there by my sister's house, because it was like days and days that I would skip, going over there, and I needed to bathe. I was just completely avoiding going over there. But my mom was in town, and that was what made me feel a little bit more comfortable about going over there, even though, she was a part of the whole thing too. I remember she and I were going outside to her rental. Either we were going out to her rental or she and I were going out to my vehicle, the one that I had with Carvana. But I remembered us going out there and noticing that there was this big white van. Even when we pulled up, the van was there. It said FedEx, but it looked, like an undercover van. I wasn't sure. I didn't think that immediately. But what happened after is what made me start thinking that way. So as soon as we get out to the vehicle, this guy comes from the back of the house, this heavy set white man, right? I'm just specifically talking about race because of how he was glaring at me and the fact that he had a cigarette in his hand. And so this is why I'm mentioning his race. It's not anything like I'm not being prejudiced or anything like that, but I'm just trying to show you that there was already an ulterior motive for some of the people involved in the targeting, including, the officials that were propelling whatever, using the technology. I don't know if he's one that was using it. I don't want to bear false witness. He was maybe just an investigator that had been following my case, but he came out from the back of the house. He had a cigarette in his hand, and it looked similar to how they were sensitizing me to cigarettes up in Indiana, and he was glaring at me. He had this look on his face it was a mix of disgust and anger and hate. Those three things, those three emotions. And at this time, I had already started sharing the offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda in my car. So he had motive to dislike me anyways. And then he sees that moment that it seems like set up, that happened in the living room. And so he came from around the house, the back of the house, and he's glaring at me and holding the cigarette. And then he gets into the white FedEx truck that was behind us. It just looked very suspicious. And I remember my sister coming to the van and trying to over-explain what the truck was there for. Because at the time she had this black Haitian girl staying in the back apartment to her house that she was renting. Remember I told you she was doing Airbnb out of that house. And so the unit that I was staying in when I was in college and the Airbnb things were happening, the same things that resembled what I texted the people in my close circle about, she was staying in that room. This black, I believe she was Haitian girl. And so my sister was telling me that she has a bunch of men. You know, she just came to the car and started to explain why that guy came out the same time that we did. And she said, oh, that guy, I don't know who he is. He was back there with so-and-so, and she's had like a bunch of men coming in and out of the apartment or the unit, and, you know, just kind of over-explaining, you know, the guy. And typically she had guests in and out of that back unit. She wouldn't have explained it to me, but it looked suspicious. And it's the way he was glaring at me and holding the cigarette. Like, I strongly believe he was some sort of investigator, or something like that. And so that whole scene to me felt staged. And so I just want to talk about that real quickly. I'm going to finish the video later, y'all. As you can hear, it's like pouring cats and dogs. I'm sure the audio is compromised a little bit. Not compromised, but, you know, I'm feeling like I have to talk super loud for you to hear me good. The other thing I wanted to show you all real quickly. Let me go over to my photos. I was telling you all that they use the shadow networking software to hack your pool game sometimes. All of your apps. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. They hack all of your technological devices, and any app that you utilize that's connected to the internet, they can send you things to sensitize you. And I was telling y'all in one of the prior clips that one of the things they can do is even hack your pool game and play against you with avatars to sensitize you, because it's supposed to be a randomized computer system and you're supposed to just be playing against random people. They can actually send you things to sensitize you. So I'm going to show you. They did that to me yesterday when I left the gym and I was sitting waiting for the bus. I was playing pool. Remember I told you all they sensitized me to plaid. I've shown y'all in several prior videos where I was showing you all examples of the shadow networking software, like what I'm about to do now. I showed you how they utilize plaid against me, and I told you all how that started in my prior videos. I'm not going to go into the details of it right now, but just know specifically with my targeting, they sensitized me to plaid because of something that happened last year. So in this avatar, the guy is wearing a plaid shirt. You can see it's a generic plaid shirt. I've explained this to you on prior videos. Whenever they're using the technology and making it look like the person's wearing plaid, it always just has this weird generic AI look. But then you can see that in his picture frame, it says "fuck Israel." Remember, I was sharing offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda in my car in Florida, and Hebrews believe that they are the true Jews, and they call themselves Israelites. You know, and obviously you know that the Israelites in the Bible, the promised land is Israel, right? And they're also referred to as Israel in the Bible. So look at this. I'm not pushing that narrative. I'm just explaining to you how this is shadow networking. So look at this now. Y'all see that? And they didn't even spell Israel right. They did that on purpose. They troll all the time. But you see the generic plaid shirt, right? And it says "fuck Israel." So understand, this is what they do. And this is what they can do. They can manipulate the technology and send you things to sensitize you. And they were doing it like crazy last year. I had a whole video dedicated to this where I was showing you the pool game, where they were sending me a bunch of shadow networking stuff. And that was one of my videos that got deleted. Remember, I had a series of videos where I was actually on camera that got deleted last year. And if y'all want to hear the details about that, you haven't heard so yet or seen the video, y'all can scroll all the way down and check out the video that has the thumbnail that says "update." It's a white thumbnail with a red red banner that says "update," and you can hear how those videos got deleted. Anyways, I'll finish this video later, y'all. I just wanted to talk about those two things real quickly. When the weather calms down, I'll finish the video. All right, y'all, I'm going to work to wrap the video up now. As y'all can see at the top of the screen, this is hours later. It's 3:15. I've been sleeping, catching up on sleeping. Like I told you all, I'm PMSing. I'm having really bad cramps. I'm one of those, as y'all know, those of y'all that have been subscribed, I know you know this by now. It's been 2 years of me telling y'all, you know, how bad I PMS. And also, too, telling y'all that coincidentally enough, it seems like every time my period is coming, that's when they amp up and do some nonsense to really get me upset. It almost seems like, you know, like the planning it, like clocking me, because they know everything about me. You know, it wouldn't be surprising if that were the case. But whatever. It's just like that's been for like the theme for the last 2 years. Like every time my period's coming, that's when nonsense to get me upset and get a horrible reaction out of me happens. Anyway, let me try to hurry up and wrap up the video, y'all. I know what I was talking about in the last clip, where I was showing y'all the thing from Target to Tony, and then also to just discussing the texting and what created the targeting in the first place, and how when I tried to relocate off of island in 2022, which was 2 years after the targeting starting, things blew up when I went to the mainland, and eventually ended up back down in Florida because I took a flight, as you all know, to Florida, and then I caught a series of Greyhound buses up to Indiana to start over, and certain things happened a lot en route to Indiana, where I realized basically the targeting followed me. I had some reactions that led to the targeting blowing up, and I ended up back on the island I tried to relocate off of. But before getting back on island, I had to travel back down from Indiana, and I ended up staying in Florida for a couple months before I got back here to island in November of 2022. And so while in Florida, I was just telling y'all some of the things that took place that made them propel that nasty narrative that was created from the text. And I even told you all about this incident that occurred with my niece that they tried to run with, an incident that seemed staged. But nonetheless, whether it was staged or not, it was reactive abuse and it was PTSD and trauma, and they tried to run with that moment. Anyway, so I did knock down this stupid thing with the text message. They're pushing it to be spiteful, just like the other false narratives they were pushing, like me being a mistress, or the witchcraft narrative, or it's just so many heinous things they've thrown at me at this point. They started throwing stuff about serial killers. I had to make a video about that, showing the demographics and the statistics and how rare it would be for me to be a serial killer. Like, just heinous stuff, man. A bunch of stupid, dumb nonsense that they have been throwing at me. So many false narratives to be spiteful because they don't like me and they feel like I'm somebody that quote unquote bears false witness, which I've also knocked down and proven that I haven't bared false witness either. I've only done it once in my early 20s. All of the other situations that I talked about, I insinuated things. I didn't bear false witness. Even with the text message, I didn't accuse the people in my close circle of being outside my door and doing weird things or doing noise campaigns. I asked them if they were doing that, after the fight happened, because I thought that's what I was hearing was PTSD. Because for a whole half a year in 3 different Airbnbs, I actually dealt with that happening. Anyway, y'all, back on track though. I just had to talk about that real quick because they started trying to, like I said, over the course of the last 2 days since I made the last video, and I knocked down the race thing, and I proved that can't be why you're really doing this to me. And I told you all about what I saw here in Ireland with the Hebrew Israelite camp in that part 1 video. Now for the last 2 days, they've been trying to push hardcore the child thing to now find a new reason to validate the targeting. So anyways, let me talk about what happened at work, not last night. Now at this point, it was night before last, because obviously last night was when I was making this video at work. So not last night, but night before last when I was at work. I took some notes in my text messages, y'all. I'm going to try to not talk too fast. I don't want it to be to the point where you can't understand what I'm saying, but I want to hurry up and wrap up the video because I don't want it to be too long. And at this point now, I already have an hour and change of content. So let's try to, sorry guys, I heard somebody pull up outside and I was sitting up too. Let me go over to my notes, because I want to talk about what happened night before last at work. And then I want to talk about what happened in the morning after I had gotten off and I went to the gym and I had a reaction, and it was a culmination. It was a culmination of different things that had built up from the night prior when I was at work and they were doing things. Okay, I know this is going to, I'm just going to read. I wrote notes to myself, y'all, so I'm going to read it out loud, and obviously I'll expound with my mouth. Last night. So obviously, you guys can say I texted this to myself yesterday. So it's no longer last night. It was night before last. Night before last. Before the current debacle, I was watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. And when I said current debacle, I guess I was talking about what took place at the gym. Before the current debacle, I was watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. Oh, no, current. I was talking about them taking the current, because they took the current when I was at work night before last. They were doing a lot of gang stalking activity that night, right? And also, again, pushing the false narrative that was created from the text message. So, before the current debacle, I was watching Real Housewives of Atlanta and a scene with Nene played where she called Candy a hater and they did noise campaign. So I went in on them, not aggressively, but called them out for hypocrisy because they had just started flying the fly and doing noise campaign because I was updating my diet plan and workout schedule. I then had to move to the auditorium because it started raining where the current debacle happened. So what I'm talking about, y'all, night before last, I was at work and I was sitting outside, at this post that I'm referring to. My post is set up outside. I sit at a desk near the gate. I don't sit inside the school, but there is an auditorium that I can sit in. And for the first time since working that post, I did go in there and sit because it was pouring rain and the rain was actually coming in and hitting me because I was out in the elements. So before the rain started falling though, and that might have been HARP, for all I know, who knows? Anyway, before the rain started falling, I was simply sitting there putting together my workout schedule and my diet plan. Let me scroll there and show y'all real quick. Y'all see, I'm very anal, y'all. I told you all already, this is how I knew I had Asperger's. I've been doing this for years. I like to write lists and I like to organize things and I like to make schedules and things like that. I've been doing that for years. It's something that my sisters used to tease me about. Actually, I remember that this guy, I told you guys about him. Yeah? You can come open this side door for me. All right. Give me a minute, young. Sorry about that, y'all. I had to open the door for someone in my close circle. Anyways, I was talking about this guy that I talked about in one of my prior videos. I think I talked about him in like 2 different videos. An ex of mine that I had gotten with before my targeting, prior to my targeting, when I had first got up to Florida, to South Florida, for my second cycle of school. So I had my associate degree. This was when I had saved up my money and I was going back to school to get my bachelor's degree. And I told y'all I ended up dating this guy from my church and ended up finding out that he had like a wandering eye. But one of the things that him and I had in common was that he liked to write lists. And then both him and I were in school. He was training to be a firefighter, and obviously I was trying to get my degree in English. Him and I had like, similar goals, and we used to write lists and all kinds of stuff. And I remember I went in his room when I went over to his house, and he had like on his wall, like literally lists on his wall. And I was like, oh my God, this is looking like me and the stuff that I do. So this is also partially why I thought he was a good catch. But I'm not meaning to go off on a tangent, y'all. I'm just trying to say that I've been doing this for years, writing lists. And anybody that knows me knows that about me. And that's partially why I knew I had Asperger's, because apparently that's one of the main symptoms. So anyways, so I was writing and putting together my workout schedule. They have been seeing me doing this. I've had this schedule for months now, and I keep adjusting it and altering it. So I was fixing it. I was adding some things to the workout. I told you I've been going more ham in the gym now, and I've been doing more reps and more workouts. And, see, this is what I'm talking about when I say hating. Now I'm talking about the list and the gym, and they're revving by in the background. This is what I'm talking about. Anyway, and then they would throw the thing hater at me. It's so hypocritical. I cannot get over it. It's crazy to me with the things that they do. It's like everything that they do screams hater. Anyway, so let me finish what I'm saying, y'all. It's crazy. It's really crazy to me. Anyway, so it's similar to like what's happening now where this person is rapping bad because I'm simply talking about my workout schedule. I wasn't even talking about it. I was just quietly doing it. I'm not going to stop living life because they're looking. So I'm doing the things I would normally do. And I was going through the list and I was adjusting some things, and I've been adding more workouts to my regimen, pushing myself closer to failure. I talked about this in a prior video. I'm not going to go into the details right now, but just really pushing my muscles to the max in the gym. And also too, been working on eating more, y'all, because I told y'all that was one of the major issues I was having was bulking. I haven't been eating enough. I haven't been pushing myself to eat enough, and I haven't been consistent with my diet. I've been consistent with working out, but not consistent with the diet. And then I wasn't working out hard enough. So I kind of, you could say, reached like a plateau with my results. Like I saw all these results, I want to say at the beginning of the year when I first started going to the gym. And then it's like things just hit like a plateau because I wasn't eating enough. I stopped eating as much as I was. And then my muscles kind of got adjusted to what I was doing, and I didn't push myself harder or do more. So I've just been working on that recently, y'all, and altering my workout list and my diet plan, which is something I do anyways. I've been, like I said, doing that throughout the months. So as I was doing that, I had a video playing in the background, Real Housewives of Atlanta. And before that even came on, that scene, they were doing noise campaign. As soon as I started going through my list and adding stuff in, the fly is flying by and the revving by outside. I'm like, oh my God. I said, why don't they go home? I said, what is going on tonight? I remember thinking that in my head. They can hear my thoughts, so I don't even have to say stuff out loud at this point. I can think something and they hear it with the neural monitoring technology. I keep saying that it's equivalent to rape, them putting this in you without your consent. But anyway, so that's what was going on. They were already getting worked up because I was working on my workout list, and I didn't understand why, right? So then anyways, as they're getting worked up and doing all the stuff that they're doing and revving by on the road, that's when the thing with Candy played in the background, and it was a random scene. It wasn't even shadow networking. It was a random video that was underneath a video I had already been watching that I clicked on, and they've heard that scene before. And so Nene, who's actually a true narcissist, y'all need to watch Real Housewives of Atlanta if you've never checked it out. She's a true narcissist, and she truly feels like everyone's hating on her and this and that. It's not like she's targeted, and literally has everybody hating, what would feel like hating on her, and doing things to impede her and revving by when she's doing things like playing basketball or doing everyday life things. She is truly a narcissist. Like, she's going about her life. Nobody's trying to stop her or block her up or, tear her down. And she's just literally, feeling like everybody's hating on her. It's crazy. So anyway, she was saying that to Candy, like, you are such a big hater, whatever she was saying. And I was when they rev by in the background. And so I said, are you kidding me? I said, well, all the things that you guys have been doing to me, especially the discrediting, I said, my poetry, you've made a problem out of it. When I go to play basketball, something as simple as shooting hoops by myself on a dilapidated court, y'all are flying stuff in my face or revving by or getting upset, or getting upset, and so I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? It's such hypocrisy. They get mad. Please be quiet. Like, you come at the worst times. You really do.
Sorry, but they were doing work. I heard your videos. That's not what you said. There's really somebody right there doing work.
Anyways, y'all. So this is basically what's going on. It's like, it's hypocrisy to the highest level, because everything they do emulates hating. It would feel like hating. Right down to me having an interview. I remember when I had the interview for the job to become a corrections officer, they were doing so much noise in the neighborhood, Rev campaign. When they called me into the school last year for me to meet with the administrators, of course I didn't get the job, but they called me into the school. Of course they're listening to everything that's going on with me. And when I got off the phone from that phone call, they were revving up like crazy in the neighborhood. These are all things that feel like hating, but of course I didn't sit there and say, y'all are haters. I didn't do that. I would never do that. But these are the things that I'm talking about. Them getting mad when it seems like something good is happening for me, or them trying to create situations, them trying to tear me down, constantly harassing me and making noise campaigns when I'm doing productive things, such as putting together a gym schedule or a diet plan, and so all of these things feel like hating. But if I sit here now and I say that, then they're going to now mob on me and jump on top of me, because it's this mob-like mentality with the people that are involved. And then it would be that I'm being the narcissistic bitch. The gaslighting will ensue. Anyway, so that's what took place. They made the noise campaign for that, and I just started to go in on them with my words and say, are you kidding me? Like, this is such hypocrisy. You were just flying in my face and revving by because I'm putting together a workout schedule. Are you kidding? That's what I said. That's all I said. And then it started pouring rain. So I was like, and it might have been harp, to be honest with y'all. But I was like, okay, let me just grab my stuff and go in this little auditorium. So I started grabbing up my stuff, and I ran into the auditorium, and I set myself up. I looked throughout I've been in there a couple times, but I never actually set myself up to sit in there. And I ended up having to go on the stage and find like an outlet to plug my stuff into. And I set myself up nice. I was comfortable. I was like, wait a minute, it's not too bad in here. And there's AC in here. That pissed them off. Anytime I seem happy, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I said it's hypocrisy for them to ever try to throw that at me, right? Anyway, so they got pissed when I was looking too comfortable, right? And they were already on my ass because I was putting together this workout schedule. Anytime I'm messing with my workout schedule or my diet plan, they're flying the thing in my face and biting up my arms and doing stupidness. Anyways, y'all let this Rev campaign do its thing, because it's one of the neighbors with a big loud thing. Let them drive out and do their thing. And believe it or not, I believe that's an old lady, going ham like that. I've done seen her with her cane getting into this little black car that revs up really loud, and she be going ham in this little car. And she's elderly. I'm telling you, some of the most aggressive gang stalkers be elderly sometimes. Like, she's doing the absolute most right now. But I respect my elders. I'm not going to say too much. Anyway, let me finish what I'm saying, though. So that's Exhibit A of what I'm talking about, though. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I'm in this auditorium, and I'm, getting myself together, and I had just went shopping too and got all this food, and I've really been keeping up with it and drinking the protein shake and stuff, and I actually gained, in these last 2 days, I've gained 3 pounds. Like, that's how much the thing is working. It's just me and my consistency. I haven't been being consistent. I don't know what made me stop. And then I was wondering why I was not, why I had hit this plateau. I don't want to say I lost gains. I didn't lose gains, but I didn't even notice that the fullness I had started to notice on my legs weren't there as much. I still saw the tone and the definition, but my legs weren't looking as full, and it's because I really had stopped doing everything. I wasn't even taking my protein shake. I wasn't taking my creatine. So I've, for the last 3 days, been consistently doing it and really eating way more than I typically eat, and I actually gained 3 pounds in 2 days. So I was excited about that. And of course, they're staring at me and getting mad at everything that's going on with me, right? And then hypocritically come, you know what I mean? It's just crazy to me. Anyway, so I'm putting together the damn list, and I just had finished emailing the list to myself. I had just finished emailing the workout list and the diet plan to myself. As soon as I hit send, they took the current. They completely took the current in the auditorium. Now, mind you, this is a school, right? A middle school. It's nighttime. It's after hours. It's 12 a.m. at night. I'm here, a woman by myself. Yes, I'm aware of the fact that you all are here with your insect drones and you have gang stalkers that, watching me or whatever the case is. But technically, I'm supposed to be alone. And it feels that way. So the current goes and it's pitch black in this auditorium. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? It was that serious that you got so mad that you took the current? Y'all, I was so irritated, right? I just said, are you kidding? I said, so because I'm texting my workout schedule to myself, you're taking the current? I said, seriously? And they really took it, and then started flying, because I had to put my flashlight on my phone, started flying these big fat mosquitoes around. I said, are you kidding? So I remember going to sit in the little corner of the auditorium because I felt like I would have been safer indoors than going outside in the darkness. I found a little corner in the auditorium, and I'm just looking around with my flashlight, and I'm just curling and complaining. I didn't start cussing. I didn't start calling them out of their name, but I was complaining. And I can't believe they're doing all of this tonight. Are you serious? And so they kept it gone for a good 20 to 30 minutes. Spitefully, it's like a torture program. They kept the current on for a good 20 to 30 minutes before they finally decided to put the current back on. And what I did in the meantime was, because I realized what they were doing, was I put on one of my videos where I was talking about my degree and those things like that, because I know that seems to piss them off. Videos like that get them so angry. Or when I'm playing videos about working out or eating healthy or doing things to progress myself, they start getting mad and taking the current and doing things like that. So I purposely put that video on just to be a bitch. And then after 20 to 30 minutes, they finally put the current back on. So I went up on the stage back where I had set myself up, and I sat down. And as soon as I sat down, I went on this app called Scoops. I don't know if y'all have heard of that app before. But y'all should check it out. If you're not a target, it would be an interesting app to watch. I would just say viewer discretion is advised, because they show a lot of gnarly videos on Scoops. Videos that they wouldn't typically show on other platforms, they show on Scoops. People getting in terrible accidents and, bystanders to the accident, walking up to the mangled vehicle and recording, and you seeing the mangled body in the vehicle. Crazy shit like that is on Scoops. Them showing you real life emergency situations that you typically wouldn't get to see on camera. That's the type of stuff you'll see on Scoops, in addition to other stuff. They have so much, a plethora of different, it's such an eclectic it's such an eclectic assortment of content. It's different stuff on that app, y'all, completely different stuff. So anyways, as soon as I get on Scoops, the first video that pops up, it's similar to the way I would describe it is like, not Twitter. What do you call it? TikTok. It's like TikTok. You know how you scroll up and you see different videos? That's how Scoops is. So as soon as I get onto Scoops, there's this video talking about this guy that got sentenced to 521 years in jail because he was doing violent home burglaries and home invasions. And so they asked him, the reporter was asking him, well, describe what you mean by violent. What do you mean? And he said, well, a lot of people's lives were in jeopardy. And he said, what I used to do was I used to do torture tactics. And he said, I used to tie them up and do different torture tactics to get the information that I wanted out of them. Now, mind you, they had just done a torture tactic to me by taking the current. And the current was off for a good 30 minutes and I was already complaining and pissed off. So as soon as I get the current back and I go on my app, Scoops, they show this guy that got sentenced to 521 years. And it's for doing violent home invasions. And it's because he was doing torture tactics to get the information he wanted out of the person. And so this is what he was saying. And they're doing the chirping sound in the background. They had like crickets or whatever set up in the auditorium. They start doing that in the background. So I said, okay, so they're pushing the child thing because they also, too, had prior to the current going sent something that was sensitization pertaining to that thing from the text message. And also, too, like I told y'all, when I was going around since making that last video, that part 1 video, I was noticing some sensitization in the places where I was going. So I realized they were trying to amp up and push that narrative now. Again, just grasping for anything to validate what they're doing to me because I was able to prove that it couldn't be about the race thing. When you're dapsing up people from that camp down here, Hebrew Israelites from that camp and grabbing pamphlets. It couldn't be about that. So anyways, so after they did that, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me put on my video. So I went and I put on my full story. Not my full story. I put on the restating how I became a targeted individual video. I put that on and I let that play for the next 2 hours because that video is about an hour and 51 minutes long. So I let that video play and then I left work, and this was one of those mornings where I get off and I go straight to work out. It was Wednesday morning. So I went home and I got ready, got myself together, hopped in the car with my mom, and I told you already, en route to her job, my gym is on the way, so she'll give me a ride in the morning. So oftentimes before we get there, she stops at the bakery and she gets stuff out the bakery, and sometimes she'll get me a donut. So they know this. They've been watching and clocking me. They know my schedule very well. And they sometimes set up little skits or whatever they set up, sensitization, whatever, in route to whatever it is, wherever they think I'm going to be going, right? So they knew we would be stopping at the bakery. So we pull up to the bakery. And as soon as we pull up, I'm seeing this older lady. And when I said older, it's not like she was elderly, but she was older, and what she was wearing looked completely inappropriate for her age. You know, I'm trying not to be a bitch. It was nauseating kind of to see that. You know, I even remember thinking gross. We pull up. She's standing purposely in front of the bakery wearing the little short black pants. Remember I told y'all that sensitization because of what happened with my niece. So she's standing there wearing this little short pom-pom pants. It's riding up into her freaking whatever, right? And I'm seeing, you know, cellulite and stuff. And she's older. She looked like she was like pushing 50. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I remember even thinking, because already you're pushing that narrative when you're doing this. I know what you're doing. Again, like I said at the beginning, it's these little subtle things that you can't really prove, but they know that you know what they're doing. It pisses me off already that you're pushing that narrative. They know out of anything that they push at me, that is the one thing they're going to get the nasty reaction they're looking for. That's the one thing that gets me blue vex, and they know that. So you're already there doing this, and that already gets me upset. And then it's like, it looks, you know, I'm gonna chill out. I was trying not to be a bitch this morning. That morning, it started there, right? And I was getting more annoyed than I typically would too, because like I said, the night prior, they were doing stupid tactics at work. And apparently I was PMSing and I didn't realize it. I didn't realize until after I left the gym that my period had come. So all of that was taking place. I was in a really bitchy mood, but I was trying not to be too much of a bitch. But I do remember thinking, this is gross. I do remember thinking that. I said, so this is what we're doing now? You know, this is like, it's obvious they're trying to push that narrative. So anyway, we left the bakery and I get dropped off to my gym and I go in the gym and everything seems normal at first, right? I go in there, you know, I'm working out, doing my thing or whatever. Something that annoyed me was when I saw I told you all already, something that's difficult for me now is the fact that I learned the name of several guys in the gym. Conversation happens when you're in the gym. People talk. You're working out next to the same people often, so you're seeing the same faces often. So whether you're targeted or not, people will make conversation with you. And so conversations have happened, and I did learn the name of some of the guys in the gym. So typically that's normal. That's not a big deal. That's a regular everyday occurrence. But for me, because I'm targeted, guys, hold on. There's talking taking place outside. Give me a minute. Let me just move to the end of the bed. So anyways, y'all, I'm sorry, there's talking going on outside the window. I'm telling you, I've been sleeping for hours. As soon as I wake up and start making this video, all of these people start coming home and noise is happening. Anyway, so basically what started happening was, normally that would be a regular occurrence. People showing up to the gym. People making conversation with you in the gym and you learning their name. That's not oh my God. Y'all know I have ADD. I can't take it when somebody's on top of me talking by the window while I'm trying to do this video. Anyway, so that's a regular occurrence. Learning names in the gym is what I was saying. I'm sorry for the distraction. That's regular. That's normal. That happens all the time. People talk. You learn the name of the person. Okay, that's it. For me, nothing is regular. Nothing is normal. I'm targeted. So my thoughts I already told you on. I don't have to tell you. If you're targeted and you've been targeted long enough, I'm sure you've realized this is happening to you. They're listening to your thoughts with the neuromonitoring technology. That's part of the links located in the description box and comment section. Learn about this technology, y'all, and what they use on targets. So anyways, your thoughts are being projected in real time, and the gang stalkers can hear your thoughts in real time, right? So it's awkward when you learn names because the names might start popping in your head. Typically that wouldn't happen if your thoughts weren't being projected, but it's this psychological thing that happens where the people around you can hear your thoughts. And so stupid shit will pop in your head sometimes. And then they're programming you 24/7 too, constantly sending you with the shadow networking software, like I was talking about earlier, things to sensitize you and, whatever they're trying to sensitize you to when you're targeting. So it's a nightmare, man. It's like one of the most stressful parts of being targeted is the element of neuromonitoring and knowing that the people around you can hear your thoughts. So I dread learning people's names because it's happened with several people at this point. And actually, I'm so glad at this point that it's happened with so many people. So when it's happening to one specific person, it's like, don't feel special. This happens to me with everyone at this point now. It's whatever it is. It's happened with several coworkers. It's happened with my siblings. It's happened with random people whose names I've learned, people with my job. It's happened with so many different people. And so that's what started happening in the gym. It's like names that I learned started ticking into my head. And so this is what was happening when I went to the gym this morning. So I was already in this pissy kind of mood because of what had taken place at work the night before. Then I wake up, get ready. We stop at the bakery like we always do. They have what they have set up outside the bakery, trying to push that narrative now. I guess just trying to be spiteful. I think they were annoyed with the things I said at work, even though it was a reaction to what they were doing to me. Reactive abuse, and then also to, again, just trying to, I think, validate what they're doing because I was able to knock down the race thing and prove that that's not really why you're doing this. So they're pushing that narrative now, right? So I get to the gym, I'm already in a pissy mood, and also to PMSing, although I didn't realize I was PMSing. I didn't realize my period had come. So I get into the gym, and I didn't instantly see stimuli or sensitization. I didn't see anything in there to sensitize me, and I didn't see any stimuli in there. But what happened was I went to, start my workout, and one of the guys from the gym whose name, this is a new thing. This wasn't happening to me before. What it is with him and why his name, I believe, is ticking into my head so much, so badly, more than any of the other guys, is because it's sensitization. This is a guy I have made the video about before. I don't mean to keep talking about him in my videos. It's just like, this is like the third video I'm talking about him in. But remember, I've been working out with this guy since the beginning of the year when I first started working out in the gym. Never made a video about him. That just recently started, like within the last 2 months. These 3 back-to-back, I wouldn't say back-to-back, but these 3 times I've mentioned him was because of something that happened about I'm not good with time, y'all. It was about a month, maybe 2 months ago, where he came to the gym and he was like purposely working out and making like noise, what sounded like noise campaigns, like doing the thing. And it was shortly after I had shared a video. I didn't even share the video for that purpose. It was a video talking about my grandpa. And the reason I shared that video was because of something that was happening with my mom. It's such a long story, y'all. If y'all have been keeping up with my videos, you know what's going on. But recently they had started pushing this false narrative with my mom, right? This was the reactive abuse part 1 video that I recently posted, where you see the mint green thumbnail that says reactive abuse in pink. The letters are in pink. That first video, those series of videos, those 3 videos I made, I was talking about how they started pushing this thing with my mom because of some text messages she and I had shared one morning when I was at work. So I went back a few months and I was playing this video about when my grandpa passed and showing how even that was something that they were trying to push at me. Again, like I said, it's a smear campaign and they're pushing a bunch of false narratives at me. So I was playing that video, and in that video I had referenced the Hebrew Israelite whatever propaganda I was sharing in my car in Florida, and I was talking about some things, and I think maybe the way I worded things sounded offensive. Remember, everybody's staring at you 24/7 and judging you, so they're getting mad. They're staring at you actively and getting mad at every little thing. I didn't even put that video on for that purpose. I put it on to show that they're literally constantly throwing false narratives at me, and they were actually trying to, throw subliminals at me about my grandpa, who was 89, passing. These are the things that they're doing. Actively just purposely pushing all these horrible false narratives at me to be spiteful. So anyways, after I played that video, I noticed I went to the gym. Remember, I'm going to the gym at a different time now, y'all. I'm going in the morning. Initially, when I first started going to the gym in the morning, I was not seeing that guy at all. I had went for a whole week and I wasn't seeing him. I wasn't seeing the other guy too. There's 2 guys that I started seeing that I wasn't seeing when I was going initially, when I had changed times. I wasn't seeing any familiar faces. And then slowly but surely, I started seeing these familiar faces in the gym, which is not a big deal. I'm not saying this to create anything. I'm not trying to create a problem or anything like that. I'm really not. Because remember, like I said, I go to the gym all the time to work out, and I do see these people all the time, and I don't want to create something and then feel uncomfortable, because I'm not stopping. I'm going to the gym and I'm going to keep working out no matter what. And so I don't want to make that an uncomfortable environment for me or even for them. Hell, even if, whatever. I'm not trying to make things uncomfortable. So anyways, I'm just saying I started noticing some familiar faces when I started going in the morning after I had played certain videos. So I think that was why he started going there. I think literally it was shortly after I played that video about my grandpa, and the purpose of me playing it was to show that they keep pushing these nasty false narratives at me. And in the video, I happened to reference the Hebrew Israelite propaganda, and I think the way I worded things may have sounded offensive. And I noticed I saw him that morning working out, and he was doing those noises that I told you some people in the gym do. Sometimes they don't do it often. It hasn't happened in a while, where they'll purposely "Ugh!" And I explained where that came from. I'm not going into it again right now. I don't feel like it. So I made a video about it. I made a video talking about it and why I think it happened. And I took the video down. I'm like, okay, I'm going to the gym working out with these people. If it was gang stalking, who cares? Let me just take the video down. I wanted to talk about it because they started doing noise campaigns when I left the gym. And so I felt like I needed to talk about why I thought that happened in the first place, because I had never heard that guy doing that before. And I was going to the gym at a whole different time now, and I wasn't seeing him before. So I was just like, okay, what I'm realizing too, they have a lot of undercover people coming into the gym. And when I say undercover, I mean, I think undercover law enforcement, undercover this, undercover that. It might just be a gang stalker that gets hired on because you're a certain race or whatever it is. I don't know how it works, really. I've heard other targets talking about this, and I don't want to sit here bearing false witness and then it's really like this regular person that really goes to the gym, because the guy really looks like he works out. He's very fit. He's one of the biggest guys in the gym, so you can tell he really works out. This is obvious. But a lot of law enforcement people work out too. You have to be fit to be a police officer. I mean, you have some police officers that are out of shape, but a lot of them are in shape. It is somewhat of an athletic field. Even with the correction officer job that I applied to a few months ago, I had to take a physical for that. Remember, I was trying to become a police officer or an auxiliary officer as a second job prior to relocating off island. I had to take a physical for that as well. So these are career fields where you do have to be fit. And a lot of the people in these career fields do go to the gym actively. And they are muscular type people that are into athletics. So it would be easy for them to send one of these guys in there and pretend like it's a gym guy, and really this is somebody that works for law enforcement. So I never know who's who. I can oftentimes, because my intuition is good, I can oftentimes tell who's an officer from who isn't, but sometimes I don't know. I don't have a freaking clue. So there's all kind of people in there. And even recently, I noticed one of the dudes from the gym. I made a video about him too a few months ago, one video, and I took it down. And the reason I made a video about him was because he started doing some passive aggressive things to me after something that happened. I broke it down in this video, y'all, that I took down. I really don't want to rehash it. I don't care that much. And I, like I said, when I start making these videos about the people I work out with, it gets awkward. The only reason I'm talking about it now is because I want to explain what's going on with the name tick thing, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent. But this dark-skinned dude with glasses, I made a video about him a few months ago. I'm not going to rehash the thing. I already took that video down too. But recently, when I was doing security at the correction officer facility, not the correction officer facility, at the jail, I noticed just recently, I've been doing security there now for about a month. I haven't seen this guy. I noticed randomly one night as I was working my shift, he pulls in there with a truck, and it looked like he was wearing a shirt that had one of the emblems on it. I'm not really sure what it was. I don't know if he's a correction officer or a police officer, but it started making sense why I was seeing his face so much in the gym. I'm like, wait a minute, this guy works for law enforcement. He's either a corrections officer or a police officer, and that's likely why I was seeing him so much in the gym. It started to make sense. And so I oftentimes, after I saw that, after I saw that recently, I started to think about all of the faces I'm seeing in there. And I started to wonder, who the hell is who? Especially some of these frequent faces that I see all the time. I'm like, who is an undercover from who isn't? Like, I was starting to, in my head, like, who's who? Like, it's really a freaking gnarly, tweaky paranoia type feeling when you're targeted. Like, you don't know who the fuck is who. You never know. Anyways, but I know a lot of them are authentic gym goers, obviously. But the point is, you never know who's who. And that's what's so freaking, creepy about the whole thing. You don't know who's who. Anyway, so with this guy, I told you I've been seeing him since I first started working out at the beginning of the year. But I recently, like for the last, it's almost been like 3 months now. Time flies so quickly. 2 to 3 months I've been going to the gym for the morning. I want to say for the first 2 to 3 weeks, I was not seeing this guy in the morning. And then I played that video that had the where I mentioned the Hebrew Israelite propaganda, and I saw him that morning, and he's working out and doing the passive aggressive noises. I took that video down because I don't want problems, and things have been kind of cool with him. So it's like I don't want to now talk about him again. But I'm just trying to explain to you what made me talk about him in my videos in the first place. And I was talking about the fact that he was racially ambiguous. So I don't know what I know now. Because one time he came to the gym with a bandana with the Italian flag on it. And so I realized now that he's Italian. So it does make sense why the things I shared, I'm not still sharing, why the offensive things I shared in my car in Florida would be offensive to him, obviously. I didn't know what his nationality was before, though. I was referring to him as somebody that was racially ambiguous. Because you do know Italians tend to have that look. There are certain nationalities, I'm going to be careful. I know I have to be careful with race. Certain nationalities where you can get confused. I want to say Arabs sometimes, Hispanic people, Italians, and even sometimes Indians. They have a look because they are so mixed up. Those nationalities are mixed up. Everyone's mixed up, if I'm keeping it real. But there are certain nationalities where their whole, if you look at their ancestry, is a medley of different nationalities mixed together, and it created a race. In fact, with Hispanic people, their whole race started from mulattoes mixing with mulattoes back in the day. And so then they started to kind of do this thing where they would only mix with other mulattoes. And then you had some Indians mix into that bloodline. And this is how you came up with the Hispanic Hispanic race. So they started from a bunch of mixing, different mixes. And so a lot of those types of, I would say, races or nationalities can be confusing. When you're looking at them, you might not be able to tell what they are. You're trying to guess. Like, I would definitely describe them as being racially ambiguous. And so Italians fall in that category. There have been several Italians I've seen, and I would have thought they were Hispanic. I would have thought they were Hispanic until I found out that they were actually Italian. So that's why I referred to him as racially ambiguous. I wasn't trying to say anything offensive, but because it's me and I've already said all these offensive things, I think even me saying that might have been offensive. Me saying that he was racially ambiguous. I really didn't know what the man's nationality was, but I could tell that the thing that I mentioned in that video, what my grandpa was likely what offended him, the Hebrew Israelite propaganda or whatever. Anyway, so I had made a video about it. And I was talking about the fact that every time I saw him, not every time, but sometimes when I saw him, the name Garrett would pop in my head. And I talked about why that was happening because of something that happened at the beginning of the year. I'm not going to say it again in this video. So I said that in that video. And then, things kind of mellowed out at the gym with him. And, he wasn't doing the same thing he was doing that day that he was doing. I took the video down. I was like, I don't want problems. It was probably just a reaction to whatever he heard in my video. I'm used to that at this point, making these videos, trying to advocate for myself and then pissing more people off. So I took the video that I had made about him down. Then I noticed that one of the guys in the gym called him. One of these guys that was telling me about my workout schedule and telling me basically that the reason I'm not seeing as much results as I would like is because I'm not pushing myself to failure and I'm not pushing myself hard enough. And he was basically explaining to me that the legs can take on a lot of weight, which I already knew that. More than any other muscle group, your legs can support a lot of weight. It supports your whole body weight. And so he was explaining to me that you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Your legs can do way more than what you're doing. And so one day he was showing me, one of the people he trains, he was showing me the girl. And when he was showing me the girl, he called that dude over, the Italian guy. And he called the guy's name. And so I heard the guy's name. And so now I know his name. And because I had just made that video about him recently and I'm kind of feeling awkward about the whole situation and also feeling, it's just awkward, man. I've been sensitized to that race too because of the stupidness I shared in my car in Florida. It's just awkward, man. So anyways, I learned his name, right? And so now it's like every time I see him, his actual real name is ticking into my head so bad, more than any other guy in the gym. And it's really just awkwardness, PTSD, and sensitization because I know that I shared all those offensive things in my car in Florida. Obviously, he was offended. And they've been sensitizing me to race like crazy since I've gotten back on island. So more than ever, his name is sticking into my head. Before things got weird and before I had made that initial video about him, about 2 months ago, when I would see him, the Garrett thing would kind of pop in my head a little bit. It wasn't really a big deal. Now, like crazy, his name, his actual real name, because I know his name now, is popping in my head. When I see him, I'm like, fuck, like I can't stop it. It's so irritating. It's like I have no control. I can't stop it. I'm trying so hard to stop his name from popping in my head. And his name keeps popping in my freaking head. It's just so awkward and I can't help it. It's not something that I can control. And it's not just him either. Like I said, I've learned other names in the gym that pop in my head too, but it's mainly his name that keeps popping in my freaking head. And so that happened. I went off on a tangent, but I did want to talk about that and why that's happening. So anyways, that happened when I first got in the gym. So I'm already in this bad mood, right? I'm PMSing. They were messing with me at work the night prior. Then in the morning, the pushing the child thing when we get outside the bakery. So I'm already in this pissy kind of mood. And I'm PMSing, although I don't realize it yet. I didn't realize my period had come. I go in the gym. I see that guy. And typically, I don't really care if his name pops in my head. It's just embarrassing more so than anything else. And it's not like something that's going to get me upset. Because at this point, they all know that this happens with everyone. When I learn names, especially people that I feel awkward about, right? Or I feel sensitive towards, right? So his name, as soon as I saw him, I'm doing my leg extensions, his name starts popping in my head. I'm like, God, like I remember going, God, or something I said, damn, or something like that, because I was so annoyed I couldn't control it. And I'm already in this bad mood, but it wasn't like an explosion. That wasn't really what got me pissed off in that gym. Like I said, I've been seeing him and that's been happening. It's more so humiliating than anything else. So then I go to the back room and I'm doing my workout, right? And then I leave the back room and I finish with that area of the gym that I was at. And I'm heading over now to the area that has the Smith machine where I do my squats. And as I'm heading over there, I notice a blue police car pulled up outside of the gym. So I'm like, okay, and it's an unmarked police car too. It's not like it had like the police writing on it, but it's one of those blue, it looks just like the police cars. You could tell it was a police car, but it was an unmarked police car. So I'm like, they're doing the most today. Now they're bringing it to the gym and they're doing it in an obvious way too. Literally because they're pissed off about what took place at work the night before that day started. So that really got me worked up. So then I get over to the Smith machine and I noticed this new girl in there that I had never seen before. And she's trading with this dude that I believe he's a cop because I barely see him. He's one of those that I really think is a cop. I barely see him in there. Like I see him in there once in a blue moon and it's typically times when they're trying to sensitize me. So I'm not sure. Maybe he truly is like a trainer or something, but he's one of those people that I don't see in there often. But he's in there and he's training her and I've seen him in there before training someone else. But like I said, I barely see him in there. So he's training her and it just all felt kind of weird to me, because I don't see them. Like there are typically people that I see at the time when I go to the gym. And again, faces change. I don't own the gym. Different people will come at different times. I understand that. But considering all the things that had taken place the night before, and then in the morning before I even got to the gym, and then now seeing these two people, it just kind of felt weird to me, but I didn't immediately think gang stalking. I didn't. I was in a bad mood, but I didn't instantly think gang stalking. I really didn't. And he had himself set up at the Smith machine. Everybody that watches me knows I use the Smith machine in the morning, right? Look how they flew the bird by. You see, that's to tell you. That's to tell you that was a gang stalking tactic. That's to tell you. anytime they're trying to piss me off, let me not say this before they really start doing that to me on purpose now. Let me be careful, because I've been successfully able to go to the gym and work out. I don't want more problems. But I did notice sometimes as a tactic, it would seem. I wasn't sure, so I never made like that accusation. Sometimes it seems like purposely set somebody up at the Smith machine at the time when they know I'm going over there to use it. They're all watching me. They know that I do everything by the book, like clockwork. I'm one of those type of people. I write schedules. I write lists. I don't deviate from the schedule. So they know what's going to happen next. And they know when I'm going to be heading over to that Smith machine. They all know. They're watching me, right? I'm using stimuli. They all know. So, whenever I go over there and somebody's on the Smith machine, it does kind of feel weird, but at the same time, I have to remember that despite me being a target and them knowing my schedule and knowing that this is where I'm headed next, this still is an open gym that people are paying for, and everyone has a right to use the Smith machine at any given time. So I never get mad about it. I always do kind of wonder, is that gang stalking? But I never make a big deal about it, and I never straight up throw an accusation, but I do always wonder. And so this same guy I'm telling you about, he has himself set up at the Smith machine. Meanwhile, he's training this new girl that I've never seen in there before. So all this felt kind of gang stalkerish to me, but I wasn't sure. And then I saw the unmarked police car parked at the front of the gym. So I'm like, they're doing a lot today. But I was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to ignore it. Because typically I can ignore it. I told you all they do this to me sometimes, where they, set up all this stuff and they get worked up because I had a reaction to something they were doing to me. Anyway, so I go and I sit on the leg press machine because I had a lot of workouts. I have a lot of workouts I'm doing now. So I was like, well, let me use the leg press machine. Let me go over there and use that instead. I'm using that, right? And as soon as I'm finished doing my leg presses, I kid you not, and I get up, the dude removes himself from the Smith machine. So I'm like, yay, so I can use the Smith machine. And the girl he's training walks over to another portion of that same area that we're all in, and she bends all the way over, similar to what I was talking about, that bend over stimuli that I was showing you all. And she acts like, and I don't mean to say act like because that sounds accusatory, but I'm almost certain it was gang stalking. I'm not 100% sure. But what happened next, in addition to the police car being parked out front, is what's making me think it was gang stalking. But she bends all the way over, right? And she acts like she's doing RDLs. And she's facing the wall. It was just this weird kind of way that she was positioning herself where I would have to walk by and see her bending all the way over. So I remember just snickering. I looked at it and I literally snickered out loud. Like typically when I'm telling you, when I'm seeing these tactics that look like gang stalking, I'm not 100% sure that that's what's happening. I won't react because I know typically it is trying to get a reaction out of me. It's set up to get a reaction. So typically I won't react, but I was in a pissy mood, y'all. They had already been messing with me the night before at work and taking the current. Then we went to the freaking bakery. And this older lady has this little black pants riding up and seeing all this stuff that I don't want to freaking see. And then I come to the gym and again, I'm PMSing and didn't realize it. I'm just in this pissy, foul, funky mood. So I just remembered it irking me, And so I actually did snicker out loud. Like I actually snickered. And I even saw a few people look up at me because they're not used to that. They're not used to seeing me react like that. Like usually when stuff is typically set up or it's a possible, gang stalking tactic, I purposely don't react. I actually snickered. They got the reaction that morning. So then I set up my stuff in the Smith machine and I was about to do my squats and stuff. And as I'm setting up and I'm doing my squats, all of a sudden this childlike female, you could tell she was an older female. Like these girls that are small, like they have a small petite stature, but they look like a child. But you can tell that they're a grown person. Like they have a mature face, so you can tell this isn't a grown person. But they're just built this way. Some people are like that, where they're born and they have like this small, petite, even men, there are some men like that too, where you can tell it's a grown adult, but they look like a child. This is what they have now come, and she starts doing lunges in front of me. As soon as I get on the Smith machine, and I start using the Smith machine, all of a sudden she's walking in front of me. It's just in this awkward, weird location too. I've never seen anybody doing walking lunges in the area where she's doing it. And so she starts doing these slow walking lunges in front of the Smith machine. So I'm like, they are pissed about last night, even though they started doing it first. They're the ones that created whatever at work last night. Simply because I was putting together my diet plan and my workout plan. And then I called you out because you tried to send stimuli to me and make noise campaign hypocritically about something that you're actually doing to me. I'm like, now you're pissed and doing all of this. I'm like, really? So I remember just being so annoyed. And she kept doing the walking lunges in front of me. And typically I would have laughed it off in my head and ignored it. But it was just irking the shit out of me. I was just in such a pissy mood anyways. And now I get it. I realized that I was PMSing. It makes sense now. Like little things that typically might irk me a little.
it like sets a fire in me when I'm PMSing. Like, they know this about me. Everything that annoys me a little bit, especially as far as the targeting goes, it enrages me when I'm PMSing. So they really set this up at the right time. So anyway, she's doing the little walking lunges in front of me, and I just remember just being so annoyed that I was doing my squats, but you could see that I was annoyed. I was moving in this passive-aggressive manner. You could tell I was annoyed. So eventually she stops doing the walking lunges in front of me and she goes wherever. And I'm still over there at the Smith machine because I do so much with that machine before I move. So I'm racking up now. I'm about to do my deadlifts. You know, I do a really heavy deadlift. I do a 230, right? I'm doing that deadlift. All of a sudden, she's wandering back over there. No reason to be over there. She just kept walking by and watching me in the background, walking by, but she's not doing anything in the area. So now I'm racking up. I'm about to do a 250-pound deadlift. I'm putting on the stuff, the weights to do the 250. I see her now. She's actually wandering by me. She's about to walk by me. I saw her. I purposely bent over in front of her and I slammed the weight onto the bar. And I'm so mad at myself for having that reaction because typically I would not react like that. I'm telling you, I would not react like that. But I was so irritated. And so I remember bending over and slamming the weight onto the bar and then getting up and her walking by and they're getting the reaction they want. They're at that point getting what they want. They're getting the angry, wrathful reaction. You didn't win. I was having my period. That's why. So it was a culmination of all the annoying little things that they had done since the night before at work. And then I was PMSing. That was really why they got the reaction. That was really what it was. So anyways, I did the DLs and then when I head over to the other side of the gym and I'm about to do my last set of workouts, which is using that other squat machine I've told you all about in prior videos. I get over there. She's sitting there on the leg extension machine. She knew I was going over there. They know my workout schedule. I do everything by the book, like clockwork. I don't change my schedule. I'm one of those real OCD type people. They knew that's what was coming next. Anytime they set somebody up to sit at that leg extension machine when they know I'm going over there, I can tell it's usually gang stalking. Not always, but usually. So anyways, she's sitting there now. I'm just like, it was so irritating to me. Typically I wouldn't get that annoyed. I was so annoyed. So I purposely slammed the weights onto the machine and I started to aggressively do my squats and it was almost like a shot of caffeine because my back was hurting and I was actually tired. But I didn't realize that also too the pain I was feeling. Oh, that's the other thing. Whoa, I forgot to mention that part of the story. When I first got in the gym, y'all, and I went to the back room to do my workouts in the back room, before I walked to the other side of the gym by the Smith machine, and before I noticed the unmarked police car, while I was in the back room, my stomach was bubbling like crazy, and I attributed it to eating yogurt. Because remember, I told you I'm eating more stuff now, and I forgot to eat my yogurt the night prior. I'm supposed to eat it at nighttime at work. That's when I have it in my diet plan. I forgot the yogurt at home, so I ate it before I got to the gym, and I ate breakfast. My belly was bubbling in that back room. It almost felt like I was gonna, excuse me, this is a TMI, it felt like I was gonna shit myself. We say cuckoo here in the islands. It felt like I was about to shit myself. So I'm back there like holding my stomach. I'm like trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I even started to crouch down and hold my stomach because my stomach was bubbling so damn bad. I was like, damn, why would you eat yogurt before coming here? You know better, right? And so they're just crouching and holding my stomach. They start flying to fly by. So that was really the start of them harassing me. That was the start of it. And then I went out there and saw what I saw. But my stomach was bubbling all throughout my session in the gym on Wednesday. Even when I'm squatting with the Smith machine, I'm squatting heavy ass weight. I'm going all the way up to 250 on one machine, and on the other machine, I'm going to 320. So I have all this big heavy weight on my back, and I'm squatting down to the ground, and I'm feeling like the shit's gonna come out. I'm like, damn. I said, I'm like, damn, that yogurt really did the damn thing. But I'm so freaking determined and anal to do the workout. And I don't want to miss anything, that I'm forcing myself through the workout, although my stomach is feeling terrible and I feel like I'm about to cuckoo myself. So all then I'm, having this issue and then I'm dealing with the annoying things that's going on around me. And I didn't know that it was because my period was here. That's what the stomach upset was about, and didn't realize that. So anyways, I go by her and I'm squatting and I'm doing all the squats. I didn't even catch my breath or anything. Typically I'd stop and catch my breath. I went through it like crazy. Through those heavy squats with the 320 pounds on my back. They even started flying the mosquito in my face. I said, well, you did this, because you're setting up all this stuff. And for me, I keep telling them, and I think they realize this by now, but they still do what they do. When they do certain things, especially those narratives that really get under my skin, it's like a shot of adrenaline for me, and it makes me push harder. And so I started to go ham and do these squats next to the girl, right? So anyways, eventually I finished what I was doing and I left the gym, but I was in a very pissy, nasty mood, a really nasty, angry mood. So then when I left the gym, and I got home and I was getting myself ready for the shower, That was when I realized my period had come down on me. I was like, that's what's going on. I was like, ding dong. That's why you're having these nasty reactions. That's why what they're doing is really getting under your skin today. Duh. And so that's what was happening. It was just like a really bad day for me on Wednesday. It was like reactive abuse to the highest degree. And I was so mad at myself because I try so hard not to have these reactions, especially not in the gym, not in these locations that I go to often. I don't want things to get weird in these locations because I plan to keep going there. So I don't want things to get weird. So I just remember just being so angry and I was like, I have to make a video about this. And so that's why I wrote these notes and I was like, I got it. Let me see if there's anything else I want to talk about. So I said, talk about video on Scoop app with guy that was sentenced to 500 years in prison for violent home invasions. And when he described what violent meant, he said he used torture tactics to get the info he wanted out of his victims. This vid was sent right after they took the car and at the job for about 15 to 30 minutes, which was done right after I had just finished emailing my updated workout regimen to myself. So I talked about that with you all already. Next day, on the ride to gym, mommy stopped at the bakery as usual, and there was an older lady with a really short black pants on standing outside on the phone. As you can see, I put the barf face because it really did upset me. Moving on. Then a guy with a motorcycle helmet. Oh, I forgot to mention that part of the story. Yeah, while she was standing out there, then this guy with this motorcycle helmet on his head goes into the bakery. He didn't even take the helmet off. You know, typically if you're a bike rider, you take the helmet off, you put it on the bike, you go inside where you're going, or you have the helmet in your hand. My guy is going into the damn bakery with the motorcycle helmet on. Like, he wanted me to see the helmet, you know, to represent Rev campaign, while I'm seeing this older lady wearing this inappropriate outfit that's riding up. You know, so this was all adding to the annoyance that I felt when I got to the gym. Then I got to the gym, and when I got to the back room, my stomach started bubbling. I just talked about that, y'all. And it felt like I needed to doo-doo. Period. Period came and I didn't realize it. So yeah, when I got home, I realized my period had come. This is all a TMI, y'all, but I'm just trying to explain because they're watching me actively like it's a movie. I'm trying to explain to you the series of events that took place that led up to that angry response, including my stomach being upset and me PMSing. They immediately flew the flyby. See, same thing I said, where they flew the flyby because they saw me feeling uncomfortable or in discomfort. That sensitized me and made my brain tick. Also, Jim Guy's name kept ticking, talking about that dude, the Italian guy. Jim Guy's name kept ticking into my head, which I cannot control. It happens with most names that I learn or know at this point, and there is an awkward history with him, which adds to the tick. It's not an awkward history. I'm not trying to make something out of nothing. Like I told you, I've been working out with him for almost a year now with no issue. But over the last 2 months, when he came in that one time and was doing those noise campaigns, and then I made that video about him, and then I mentioned him a second time. I forget why did I mention him the second time. I think it was the last video when I was talking about the race. I can't remember. There was a second time I mentioned him for something. It's not like I was making a video about him this time. It was a very brief thing that I mentioned him for. I think it was in that last video I made, the part 1 to this video. I can't even remember why. I very briefly mentioned him. It had something to do with the race sensitization. I can't remember why. Very briefly mentioned him, and then now this is the third time I'm talking about it because his name literally keeps ticking in my head and it's humiliating. So I felt like I needed to talk about it. But that's a small little, in the grand scheme of what took place on Wednesday, compared to all the other things that happened in the reaction I had. That's a small little thing. When I left the back room, I noticed a blue unmarked cop car parked right out front. I then walked over to the area where I normally squat on the Smith machine and noticed a guy sitting in the Smith that got up and started helping this female in the mirror. So that's the same thing I was talking about just now, y'all, with that guy that I don't see often in there, that I actually believe is an undercover cop. I don't see him often in there. I've seen him in there 2 times, maybe 3 times, helping random people work out. I don't see him often. And it's always at a different time too when I see him. So it's just kind of it really does feel like he might be a cop. And then also, although he looks fit, he doesn't really look like those buff dudes in there that really are in there actively working out that okay, yeah, you're a personal trainer. He doesn't have that type of physique. It's an average build that he has, but you can tell he's fit. It's not like he looks out of shape, but he doesn't really even look like a personal trainer, to be honest with you. I really think he's an undercover. I'm not sure though. Anyways, I then walked over to the area where I normally squat on the Smith machine and noticed a guy sitting in the Smith that got up and started helping this female in the mirror. I went over to the leg press since he was occupying the Smith. As soon as I got up, the female moved over to the other side of the mirror. So as soon as I got up from the leg press, like I told you guys, she moved from where she was at and moved to this weird location in the same area and bent all the way over and starts doing RDLs, Romanian deadlifts. But the point is she started doing it in this odd location and right as I got up from the leg press machine. As soon as I got up, the female moved over to the other side of the mirror and started bending all the way over. I snickered because I realized with all of the other things that were happening that it was likely gang stalking. I then proceeded to do my Smith machine workout. As I got to the heavier weights, a petite woman that had a childlike appearance conveniently starts doing lunges in front of the Smith machine in an awkward area. It was obvious gang stalking, and at that point, I started getting extremely irritated. And so that's basically what it was, y'all. That's all it was. I just had to talk about that with you all. It's crazy. Anyways, that's it, y'all. That's all I wanted to talk about with this video. I just wanted to explain that reaction because you know how it is. They'll take a reaction and they'll run with it and purposely negate the fact that it was a reaction to several things that took place, not even just one thing. And then also, too, I realized, like I said, when I got home that my period had come. So all of that was what caused that reaction. Like, I get really bitchy when I have my period. I've always been that way. I PMS really bad, and I get really bad cramps. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that, y'all. That's it. I'm done. Talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.